stream open.
And I will also disperse the. I mean, you could just copy the old link.
You should definitely open with some fresh, good, tasty introductions this week.
Oh yeah, we absolutely will. But we can let's do like pre-talk stuff that we started doing last week. So Tony, let's Daj, you and I let's have a sit down talk about Tony Kala.
Sean, the stream is offline.
Oh, it shouldn't be.
Refresh.
It is live. It is live. It's just
cool.
I am literally on the page. It says offline. Cool.
Am I? And I'm watching the stream now.
Wild.
Refresh it.
Wow,
Okay, did they actually
great.
find the moon?
So
Not yet.
they don't even get to meet his parents this episode, Dylan.
Okay, thank God that episode's gone.
They spend the whole episode dealing with her sister, the blonde lolly, child. And I mean, the good thing is, by the end of the episode, he's convinced her that he's an appropriate person to have married her sister, to have married Tsukasa. But we have to spend the whole episode doing that.
They're adorable, and that's all I have to say about the show. That's the only point I have to make. It's fine.
The maids.
You can make a show about cute people being
cute. Tsukasa, and they just have like a little moment. And they have like a little when they're on at the like rest station, they have a little moment of like just like agreeing what food to eat type deal, and like complaining over like what's the better food option, and then they leave. They continue on. They get to Tokyo, right?
Yeah, we don't have to go through the whole episode.
Yeah.
Essentially, no, please go through the whole episode. I gave up on that show.
The blonde bitch is no longer a problem.
Yeah.
For now.
And they're gonna be meeting his parents. My other problem, Dash, and this is what really made me mad about this week, is they end the episode with another one of those things they did 3 weeks ago, where they do like that picture slideshow. They're like, everything's great, everything is happy, and it feels like the show's over again for the second time.
What do you mean?
But yet, Watering Witch is still here.
we will.
And yet, the day became a god is still here.
We will talk about those takes on the podcast. We will talk about those takes on the podcast. Before we do that, is anyone watching anything?
Like that's
new?
not
anything else? It's not any other thoughts on stuff that's
fucking
not.
Oh, I watched all of the first season of Bunny Girl Senpai.
No, we got your thoughts on that.
Has anyone here not seen Bunny Girl Senpai?
I don't plan on watching it. But
okay, then we're good. Yeah.
Enlighten me.
Okay, I'll be 100% honest. I was gonna stop watching after episode 5 because I thought it was bad, and then I really liked episode 6 and 7, the arc with Futaba arc. I really liked that arc, and I'm like, okay, I'll see it till the end. And then I thought the ending was okay, but I have to watch the movie still, right?
Did you enjoy the Kaide arc?
Yeah.
I thought the Kaide arc was by far the best in the show. But I think the first arc with Mai is like deceptively like a really good hook for the show.
I'm just really confused on the whole Shoka thing, so I was like, I don't know.
Okay. The only thing I'll say about the movie is she is the center point of the movie.
I want to watch the movie.
So, I definitely recommend the movie. I know we just finished the show actually with my other friend Tay and Akil, and me and my friend Mason showed them the show, and we're going to be watching the movie. So if you want to join us when we figure that out, you're more than welcome to.
I don't know if any of you have watched Great Pretender. But,
we watched it last season for the podcast.
Yeah, season 2 comes out in 10 days. So
Dylan and I, Dylan, you finished out that season, right?
No, I watched the next arc. I watched up to the art arc.
Okay. Yeah, I did not pick it back up after we voted it off.
I thought the first arc was really good, but then it sort of fell off.
That's the thing about how we felt. I have watched I've watched the first episode of Adachi to Shinamura, which is new this season. Daj, you'd like it. It's a slice of life.
What is it?
Adachi to Shimamura.
Is that the Yuri one?
That's the Yuri one, yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Yuri.
It has a very interesting presentation.
It's very good.
It has a very interesting. Well, yes, it is from the first episode alone. I can tell. It has a very interesting presentation on how they tell the story. I'm probably gonna watch more of it down the line, but the first episode seemed solid. And then I watched 4 episodes, and you'll have to give me a minute. Of Magatsu Warheit Zurst. Which
Excuse me?
it's a fantasy action show based off of a mobile game. it is like a political intrigued, like warring factions kind of show. You have a main character who is a member of like the Empire. He serves as a soldier, is recently recruited, and then you have this postal delivery guy who gets stuck joining up with these rebels who are smugglers. And it's very interesting. I watched 4 episodes of it. It kind of flip-flops between telling the story between their point of view. It feels like tone-wise it's trying to be a Kame ga Kill a little bit. But it doesn't quite push that needle all the
It's
way
not edgy
there.
enough to be Akame ga Kill.
Yeah, but then like the episode 4 does some things that are, it gives context to a character who I didn't care to have context for, but did it in a very dark way. So the show takes some interesting concepts, and it is certainly a ride. I don't know if it's gonna be good or not. The character designs are a little weird, but that was predominantly, I think, everything I watched. Were those 2.
Well,
Michael,
with that,
you watched stuff, Michael, right? That I didn't
Did
watch.
I?
Didn't you watch Wotakoi?
Oh yeah, I've been watching Wotakoi. That is the thing I've been watching. Yeah, Wotakoi is what Tony Kawa wants to be, but isn't, essentially.
excuse you.
Have you seen Wotakoi, Dodge?
What is it called?
Wotakoi, Love is Hard for an Otaku.
Oh, I've heard of it. And I think it's on my like plan to watch, but like I don't think it's something I plan to watch anytime soon.
Seems really good.
It's 2 childhood friends end up working at the same place. Both of them are otaku. One of them like reads fan fiction, the other one plays video games. Relationship ensues, hijinks ensue, funniness and cuteness.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of what's the show I'm watching? One of the shows I'm watching right now. It's called Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun.
Oh my, Nozaki's so good.
That show looked like it reminded me a lot of that, just like art stylistically and like plot wise, basically. Nozaki's great. Opening slaps.
Yeah. Okay, if that's all for the good of the order, then
I think we should get started.
Yeah, we can get right into it. So, welcome everybody. We're gonna be spoiling more things than the stuff we just spoiled. Our names are on the screen, but we shall do introductions, starting with Dylan. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Dylan, and some people might call me Poblo, and that's absolutely fine. I am known for having the greatest summaries of shows. Most coherent member probably of these 6 people. So I am glad to use my intellectual superiority over them. Thank you.
All right.
Daj.
Hi, I'm Daj. I don't have any shows left, so I'm not going to be talking as much this episode.
Hi, Daj.
We're sorry, Daj.
I'm not sorry. I'm just saying my icon has a perfect like interpretation of my thoughts and like feelings as to how last week went. However, I am still here to absolutely dumpster your garbage shows that are still left, except for the 2 that are actually good.
Returning to the podcast, Michael.
I mean, I haven't been on the podcast. Podcast. I haven't been on the live variant yet. But yeah, I'm Sean's roommate. I don't have any shows to talk about because I'm new here. But you know,
I'm
here
new
to
in
spread
town.
shit taste.
It's an extra vote. It's an extra vote, brother.
It's an extra vote to save Wandering Witch. That's it.
We'll talk. We'll get there. Jackman.
I am residential witch hater. And better known as Jackman. I am an action slut, and yeah, I mean that's about it, really.
I am Sean. You know me. You have to hear my voice, and I apologize for that. You'll hear from me a lot this episode because I'm gonna be starting the episode. But before that, we have a new guest, Tommy.
Hello, my name's Tommy. I'm literally here because somebody left, and Pablo was like, "Hey, come be on this podcast and watch this shitty show for us," which is Wandering Witch, and I was forced to grudge through 7 episodes of that show.
Balance it out.
Like Jackman, huge action slut, and I'm very easily convinced. So if I say something and you guys tell me otherwise, I'll probably just swing with your vote because I don't watch anime as much as you guys, but I still have I still appreciate it. So yeah, I'm here to see what you guys have to say. So.
Tommy, unfortunately, forgot about Taiso and has not watched it this week.
Yeah. I looked over the list that Pablo sent me. Watched everything, and then I went back today to see if I was caught up, and I was like, "What the hell is Taiso Samurai?" And then it was 6:15 or 6:10, and I was like, "Yeah, there's not a goddamn chance I'm catching all of that." So I won't have much to say over that, but I'm pretty sure I saved it.
That's
already.
okay. We don't have to. We don't.
I don't know.
I have a feeling that it's okay, and we don't have to
I
worry
think
about
it's okay.
that. For
I think
this
it's
week.
actually okay
We'll
this
get
week.
to it.
We'll get there when we get there.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying you shouldn't assume. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, Pablo, you have trash taste and you belong in a different podcast.
All right, what should my
okay?
name be for the fucking voting week sheet? By the way, I've changed it every week.
I know you have. I appreciate it. Well, at the end of the season, I'll run through all of them for you, Jackman, so that the podcast can know. So let's get right into it. We are gonna be spoiling things. We are gonna be using mature language for the audience who is not used to that. You should know that because this is episode 5, baby. We're only on episode 5, guys. We're
However,
like,
we won't be using any music because Twitch would immediately strike our channel and remove it from the site. So
yeah, let's hope they don't take down that
Mhm.
VOD last week where I think we accidentally sang some songs for a little
true,
bit.
true.
Before we
Oh,
get
no.
going, Michael and I have something very special with us.
Oh yes.
You can barely
Present?
hear it. We both. Oh my, mine's fizzing. We both
Oh, no.
have
Oh, no.
bottles. Oh, yours did too. Beautiful. We both have
Mine ran
bottles
really close.
of Sprite cranberries for the season.
Oh,
Sprite cranberry,
Sprite cranberry, baby. So we both have those for the podcast. I've never had one before, so that'll be a treat when I get to it. But
interesting.
I don't know how to explain this flavor.
don't worry about it. Let's get started. Dylan, you and I are gonna have to have words immediately after I'm done with this summary. Let's talk about
Thank you.
Akadama Drive this week.
Oh, hang on. Can I talk about my drink real quick? That just
Sure,
got brought to me
yeah.
by my lovely parents.
Absolutely.
This is an eggnog shake because McDonald's doesn't make them every now and then. Eggnog is delicious, and you guys really should have the worst taste all over.
Tommy threw up. I think Tommy.
It's basically vanilla ice cream and eggnog. It's good. It's good. So I'm happy eggnog's already in season.
Jeez, Tommy, get it all out already. Like,
I just tried the Sprite cranberry. I don't know what to think about that.
It's
Like,
like
it tastes like cranberry, huh?
no, it doesn't taste like anything.
I've never tasted anything. The closest thing I've ever had is like a glacial frost Gatorade, but it's nowhere near. Like, there's far more flavor in there than that has.
I think eggnog
Welcome
and
to the
glacial freeze Gatorade are like the same thing.
Welcome to the Saber Slave Food Wars episode.
Yeah, let's get into it. Akadama Drive this week, episode titled Brothers, which is based off a Japanese film about two brothers who are part of the Yakuza who get involved in gang fights. Definitely has no relevance to this episode overall.
Nope.
We kick off this week with the action we left off on Master versus the group of the Akadama. Or the first half of the fight is predominantly focused on Master fighting Courier, Cutthroat, and Brawler. Master immediately cuts Doctor in half, and then kicks Brawler across the screen, to which Hoodlum chases after him, and then Cutthroat fights him because blood's been spilled, and he yeets Cutthroat into a bunch of steel beams, which eventually falls under him and traps him. When Hoodlum goes to check on Brawler, Brawler reveals, yeah, his injuries reopened up. It'll be fine. The steel beams fall on the Cutthroat, and Master's like, good, that's out of the way, time to go kill these two children and this girl. And then Cutthroat grabs his legs because he's cut his own legs off so that he's no longer stuck underneath the steel beams. Cutthroat is then yeeted onto Swindler and the two children. As Master goes to stab Swindler, Cutthroat swings the small child, who they are now calling brother as of this episode. He swings brother in front of them. Master stops because he's not supposed to kill the any of the stuff that came out of the vault, and he recognizes that these two small children are what they got from the vault on the Shinkansen, so he can't kill brother. But Cutthroat can, and stabs right through the child's chest, just not getting far enough into Master to like kill him. And then Master just stabs into Cutthroat in the chest and leaves him for dead, and then goes and fights Courier. Swindler checks in on the children, gets very upset that one has a hole in its chest. Doctor walks up, it's like, he'll be fine, and she's fine now because she sewed her chest back together. The child's flesh repairs itself, which was hinted at us last week's episode with the skit where they talked about the factory that may produce some humanoid things. We then get right back into the fight. Courier's getting his ass kicked, and Brawler has a solution. He yeets Hoodlum into Master from across the screen, and then Brawler and Master continue to fight. Everybody hops on Courier's bike, and they get the fuck out of there, leaving Brawler and Hoodlum behind. As the fight continues, and the two of them kind of just change scenery, we go to Pupil, who is looking to figure out what's going on with Master, where he is, why he's going off on his own. To which she talks to the head of the Executioners, who explains, and this explanation happens over the course of the Brawler and Master fight. She explains to Pupil that the Executioner's sole purpose used to just be to murder the Akadama, and because of that, they just died a lot, and their death counts were insanely high. So she decided to give them different types of motivation, which involved pairing them into teams of 2. And by doing that, bonds would form between the masters and the pupils, which would cause them to feel emotion for each other and care about that, and thus maybe not die so easily, but still be motivated to kill the Akadama. She explains that Masters resigned himself to carry out this fight and kill the Akadama, and that that Pupil needs to accept that, which she doesn't, and she runs off to try to find him. We then get to the meat of the episode, which is the remainder of the Brawler and Master fight, which starts off the next change of scenery is an arcade that looks fairly similar to the Hanamura start area from Overwatch. These two fight in the arcade, they then bring the whole building down and transition into a outside of an amusement park where Brawler lifts up a gondola, shoves him and Master into it, where they fist fight each other. Then they switch set pieces again onto into an amusement park where they are then on top of a roller coaster track fighting each other, and as they are fighting each other, lightning strikes, lighting up the Ferris wheel behind them. As it starts to rain, the two of them beat the shit out of each other, push each other down further parts of the roller coaster track, and then we cut to another scene change where they are now on a bridge fighting each other, both very badly wounded as it rains even harder, and the two of them deliver one last hit to each other as they both die. Probably, most certainly. Pupil rushes over to Master. As she does, she drops her lightsaber. Master hands her his lightsaber. Hoodlum walks up in the rain, picks up Pupil's lightsaber, and they are about to fucking Jedi duel as the scene cuts. We have our informational segment for the episode where we learn about an area underground where there is a group of survivors from one of the bombs that was dropped, and that that exists. To which we then cut to or group of alive people. And we see that Brother is looking for the exact coordinates, having problems because Cutthroat, stabbed him and broke his backpack. As he looks for that, Swindler scolds Cutthroat for stabbing through Brother, slaps him and calls him despicable. Brother then finds the underground entrance, opens it up, and we get the credits. We get the post-credit scene where we see that Pupil is waking up in a hospital bed. She takes the bandage off the side of her face, showing that she lost an eye. And we see that the two sabers are both bloody on the counter next to her bed. And we do not know what has happened to Hoodlum. And that's Akadama this week. Dylan, we need to talk. Because you've said some words about Akadama, about what would happen if a certain thing happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, character who
I can't go any further, we'll get copyrighted.
Oh yeah, true. The character who carried the shit out of Akadama is now dead. However, he went out like a hero. And well, did he go out like a hero? I think he just went out. I think
he went out exactly how Brawler's gonna go out, dude.
He went out how he wanted to go out.
Master is dead. Hoodlum's probably dead.
I think that's a 50-50 flip.
I think he's alive.
I think he's fucked.
I think he's alive.
Hoodlum has zero fucking training.
But yeah, this episode was like hardcore. Like this was like a dark turn. Like it got dark at the end.
Well, yeah, it was nighttime.
Yeah. Also that. It's kind of nuts. I was a big fan of this episode, even though my favorite character died. And what, you think I'm so low IQ that I'm gonna 50-50 like flip?
Yes.
my opinion. That's super fair, actually.
It's a good chance.
Listen,
But,
Ramen Girl was back this week. I'm like, he's not.
don't spoil that. Don't spoil that. But I very much enjoyed this episode, and I do not think it needs to go.
That's fair.
Next week. Okay.
Oh my god, dude! Holy shit!
Next week I'll probably start crying.
This show, dude, is so fucking good. Like every scene, every like fight is just so goddamn beautiful to watch. Like the set pieces are just fantastic, and then the way they use sound as well in a lot of the fights and stuff just feels so dynamic. And then they even like one of my favorite scenes from this episode was when you mentioned like the thunder struck the Ferris wheel and lit up the like part of the music
That
part
was so
behind them
cool.
fighting, and all you heard in the background was just the rain for like a good 30 seconds. It was just silence. It was so sick. This entire episode was just so tense the entire way through. Where you have this injured master beating the living shit out of these Akadama 1v5. Like, dude actually just got some new League of Legends items and just ran over them. Like,
Okay,
he's broken. He's like, and then Cutthroat's just like, yeah, my legs are trapped. Let me just cut those off real quick. It's fine. I don't need legs. I can just fling my corpse at you to simp hard enough for Swindler. Yeah, I mean, Doctor's OP. And
I do want to add on.
Awesome.
I want to add on, like, to what you're saying there. Like, even during their fights and stuff like that, there's even like those tiny bits of their personality that come out. Like Cutthroat just like laughing as he's doing stupid shit, and then he cuts his leg off. He's like, "I need red." It's like, what the fuck?
What I'll say is like, who is your favorite people to watch fight in this show? Because everyone fights in different styles, and for me, when he's serious, Cutthroat is my favorite person to watch because it's so pretty to watch him fight.
He's clean.
He's just messing around the whole time too. He's like throwing knives around. He's flipping them upside down. Like he's cutting off his legs and throwing himself at people. Like the dude's nuts. It's crazy.
Okay. I would like to go next.
Yeah,
maybe.
go ahead.
Yeah, go
I said this in the very first episode of watching this. I said that the scenery is by far the most cool and beautiful scenery of like an anime I think I've seen in a while. And like I physically just could watch a show of like just a tour of the fucking city and like everything. When they're first fighting in this fucking sewerway, and then they transition out into an abandoned city, and then they progress further and further away from the city as they're fighting, and just being able to see small bits of like stores broken, and then you go into an abandoned arcade that from Brawler hitting the ground suddenly turns all the fucking power back on, and it's just like, holy shit, everything is still so bright and vibrant. And then it focuses back onto the characters, and they're still just beating the shit out of each other. And then it transitions to the other characters just talking while at the same time this fight's going on. And then it snaps back into a different location, and each time it snaps to a different location, you see the actual name of the place and like where the location is. It's like the abandoned so and so, the quarantined so and so, and then they finally get to the bridge, and they're standing there, and they're like, this is the last fight. Like we're both gonna die, or one of us is gonna walk away from this. It's just the idea of it, and I think one of the coolest scene is the fucking Ferris wheel.
Yes.
Like it's just so cool. They're just standing there, lightning strikes it, it just illuminates for like 2-3 minutes. And just the still frames of them just looking at each other with the silent rain, or I guess loud rain pouring down, catching like the light of the Ferris wheel between each shot. I think it was just beautiful. Everything made it so well. I think it was a good fitting end for both the characters. Brawler loved fighting, and that's how he fought. He just wanted to fight to the death, and he eventually got to what he wanted, I guess. And then the scene of just the bond of just fucking Hoodlum being like, holy shit, this guy fucking died, and I'm actually kind of sad for him, I definitely think he's fucked up, maybe dead, because I physically don't see someone with 0 training and only being in jail for 5 years can kill a fucking executioner. But yeah,
I will argue that she could barely walk. Like,
I don't think that stops her from
Yeah,
picking
her
up
master
children.
literally just died.
I think emotional trauma and literally having no legs kind of makes it hard to fight.
I think it's a 50-50 on that, because part of me thinks if she had gotten hoodlum, someone, a higher ranking executioner, would have been there when she would have woke up, and that would have been the point of discussion, and it would have been more of like, acknowledge that wound you got, you killed an Akadama, go get the rest of them. Instead, we just get like this silent, like, this is the wound I got, and we don't know what happened to Hoodlum. He's either dead or he's very badly wounded. There's no in between on that one, in my opinion. But there's a slim chance he's still alive. I don't know if we're gonna find out, because I don't know how the hell he gets back to the rest of the group if he is. So.
Yeah. So I think he's alive, but I don't know how the fuck he gets back to the rest of the group.
He
Because
walks.
but he doesn't know where the fuck they are. They
He knows where
left
they're
him.
going though.
He's pretty fucking far right now. Like
The only thing
whole
he knows is
transition
coordinates.
scenes. Yeah.
We don't know how far the fight took these people, right? Either.
Yeah.
But I agree. Like it's hard to see like how he gets back there.
You can see the scale of it when the fucking building collapsed. Like that's got to be like at least like
I'd say at least
15
a
miles or
mile.
something like that. Yeah,
At
maybe
least a
less.
mile.
Yeah.
But I have like two things I kind of want to talk about this show. One is I love the bits that they throw in like halfway through the episode with the shark and the rabbit, that they do like the historical background. I like
They still get creepier.
They get creepier. I love but I like the fact that they include like historical aspects in a comical way rather than just doing like a flashback part or something. Because it's like nobody wants to sit there and watch like a black and white background or whatever. But it's like, by the way they add this and they explain certain concepts, I think that's really interesting. But for this episode in particular, I wasn't the biggest fan of how predictable the outcome was. Because going into this, you knew that like as the episode went on, you knew that most likely both of them were gonna die, being Master and Brawler. I think if like I would have enjoyed it more if they maybe hinted at one of them dying more than the other, and then the outcome was both of them, because you saw Masters like from the previous episode into this episode, you knew like, okay, he's most likely dying in this fight, right? And then Brawler, he was like, if I want to go out, I want to go out fighting. And this whole episode was them two fighting, so I knew by about the halfway point that they were both going to be dying in this episode. But if they were to somehow swing it in some way to uh, tease that maybe Brawler had the upper hand or whatever, or that Master had the upper hand, or one of them was gonna walk away, and then the other one turned it around and like swung one last time with them, and like they both ended up dying, I think that would have been better for me. But either way, it was still a great episode.
I guess that leaves my thoughts. Yeah, I think this is a tremendously amazing episode for all the reasons we've already said it is. I think it's very hard to talk about this episode in particular. And, like, we can say all the cool things that happen, but seeing it is very different. The thing that I think Akadama is going to have a problem with now is that Brawler was the meat of the action. Cutthroat and Courier fight, but Courier, I don't really enjoy watching Courier fight too much. Cutthroat's kind of the only other engaging fighter we've seen. We're also trimming this cast really fast if Hoodlum's also dead, assuming that Hacker's not coming back. So this is gonna be interesting to see how the show shapes up. I'm excited. I still love this show. Reference for next week, episode 7 is called The City of Lost Children. So, we shall see.
Wonder what that could possibly mean.
How that shapes up. If we don't have any other thoughts about Akadama, though, we can move forward.
This show's cracked. I love it.
Okay, Dylan.
Yeah, it's me.
They became a god.
Okay, so this is episode 6, 7, 6. And this episode we get more of like a lax episode. There's a festival coming up, and they just decide it's time to get all the ladies assembled, right? And Yota is like, "Yo, I get my friend Ashina." and they go to the festival together. There's a bit of a scene at the beginning where it's like this basketball flashback that wakes Yoda up of like him and Ashina playing basketball, and then there's like this play that they're about to do, and then it cuts off right before they like do it. Just a play that does not work in actual basketball, by the way. Like it was totally fucking stupid. But so they acquire all of the ladies. They get the famous lawyer chick to show up because Hina is just like, oh, she'll show up. Just ask her. And he'll like, no, she'll say no. And he goes and asks her, and she's like, yeah, I'll come. And he's like, what? Nani? But so and they all wear that oh, what the fuck's that outfit called?
Yukata.
Blah blah. Whatever you said.
A yukata.
Yukata.
A yukata. And the dudes don't have to wear shit. They just wear their fucking t-shirts. But all the girls have to wear yukatas. And our wonderful ramen owner lady shows up, as well as Izanami. We have Hina, Ashina, Yoda, the lawyer chick, and his sister, whose name is Sora.
Sora, yeah, Sora.
And they're all like, all right, let's go party. So they go to the festival, and they're doing games. They're doing all this stupid shit. And like during it, there's like more backstory of Yoda and Ashina like doing this basketball shit. Like they were doing the haunted house, and they like teamed up to scare all the girls. And then there was like that flashback of, okay, so what happened was that Ashina broke his leg and couldn't play basketball anymore. But Ashina was like the best player or whatever. I don't fucking know. And Yoda felt like it was his fault or some shit like that, or felt like that he couldn't do it anymore because Ashina couldn't, because he felt like he lost his like dream or whatever. And it just solidifies their friendship even more, blah blah blah. Like we're total bros and shit. And then like fuck the dudes, because then while they're all playing some fucking stupid Scoopy Fish game or whatever, no, they're playing whatever, I don't know. Fucking Izanami's over there, and I was just like, yo, slide those yeah. And he's like, sweet. So he goes over there, Yoda, and he's like, yo, and then Hina gets all fucking jealous, right? So Hina's giga envious, and she runs over to some dude. She's like, hey, I know you're into lollies. And he's like, what the fuck? Who are you? And she's like, I am a lolly. She tries it again on multiple dudes, doesn't work, and then decides to jump into a refrigerator truck and goes, this is fantastic. Door slams shut on her. She's like, oh shit, what? Like, what could possibly be happening? And then the truck drives away. She's in this fucking truck. They can't bind. The Yoda's like, Izanami and Yoda are like DMing and shit. And then Yoda's like, where the fuck's Hina? And they're like, thought you were with you. So they go around asking people, and everyone's like, yeah, some chicks just asking a bunch of lolly lovers if they could like be with her. And they're like, that's weird. Like, yeah, we watched her jump into a refrigerator truck, and like that's even weirder. So Ashina gets on his fucking motorcycle. It's like, and it's actually pretty well done, like motorcycle scene in my opinion. They're like, they find the truck somehow. They somehow went the right fucking way, and like, and he's like, just like old times, Yoda, you gotta jump. And Yoda's like, this is the dumbest thing you've ever said. And he's like, jump. So he jumps and gets on the truck, and then he like tells the driver to stop. The driver stops. They get Hina out, and they're just like, what the fuck are you doing? And she's like, oh yeah. And then it just cuts to, by the way, oh no, that's not it yet. And then they like, yeah, let's just go watch the fireworks now. I'm like, okay, I almost died. And then they go watch the fireworks, like, whoa, that's crazy. And then it tells us that there's 9 days left till the world ends. Thank you.
Is it less than 9?
It is 9.
It was
9 is
It
the
was
number.
9? Okay.
9 is the number.
9 is the number. Technically, it was nighttime, so the next morning is probably 8.
Yeah.
But there's
It's 8,
9
yeah.
days until the world ends.
Okay. I was very sad when I saw the festival, and I was like, "Oh, it's happening! The world's ending." Because that was my theory from the very beginning. And it didn't happen. I got lost in the counting of days because it kind of just skips around. But once again, I enjoyed this episode.
Why?
I thought it was okay. I found it funny. I like to see the backstory of the basketball, finding out that the dude fucking got hit by a truck and lived, which I found was fucking hilarious.
Didn't work out for the last one to get hit by a truck.
And Yoda is just like, no, brother, I will carry you on with me. I just like the small cliches, and then fucking the chick just perma scooping out the goldfish, I found hilarious.
Just cheating. She was cheating.
Yeah.
No.
And then just like
No.
I don't know. I just enjoyed it. It was
Oh,
it
the
was a
gun
good
game.
show.
There was the gun
Yeah.
game.
The gun game. I like the haunted house scene. I thought that was pretty funny. Of just all the girls just flipping their shit, and Yoda and the other dude are just like, yeah, we fucked them up, you know. I don't know. I just enjoyed it. I thought it was a good episode. Still does better short stories than fucking Wandering Witch, but
Nice. Okay, who's gonna?
I'll do some comments more so about the show than the episode because I've
give us your thoughts on the overall show, guys.
So this was the first show I watched after Tonikawa, and the title sort of misled me. So the day I became a god, I'm super into like mythology and stuff like that. So like Egyptian, Norse, Greek, Roman, all that stuff, right? So the first episode, she's like, "I'm a god. I'm Odin. I live in Asgard. Whatever." I'm like, "Oh shit, this guy's gonna get teleported to a different world. He's gonna become a god. Whatever." I'm like, "Yeah." Not at all, right?
Reverse sense of God.
Okay, all right. We hated this show for the first 2 weeks.
Excuse you? First two?
And then ramen happened.
Yeah, the ramen.
God, that was a good episode.
And then Mahjong happened.
And then Mahjong happened, baby.
Mahjong was fucking the dumbest shit ever. You cannot change my mind.
So I personally, after the first half of the first episode, I was like, this is not gonna be a show for me at all. But I was like sort of intrigued because I like how they keep adding new characters, and they're like, she's like, "Oh, you have the name of a god," whatever, and then she freaks out or whatever. But I personally want to keep watching this solely because I want to see what happens at the quote unquote end of the world, because I have two predictions. That one, either it's like the least like dramatic end of the world, quote unquote, and it's just something she like overhyped and it's gonna be like super minimal or whatever, and it's gonna be like, oh, that was the end of the world, whatever, right? Or fingers crossed, because I'm an action slut, something fucking badass happens and the whole story just flips and then he actually becomes a god. That would get my attention, but that's probably not gonna happen. But I'm interested to see what happens at the end of the world. I keep saying quote unquote end of the world because I don't think it's gonna be something serious.
We had a couple of theories
Yeah.
on previous podcasts. I think one was I brought up like the end of the world is actually Yoda's or the dude's end of the world, where like everything that he's done up to this point is different from what he's normally used to, which is a kind of like a lame way, or like the world just actually just fucking explodes because of the crazy doctor dude.
Yeah,
He's like researching quantum physics or some shit like that.
We've also thrown around that we're gonna hit that hard reset button on the timeline when the world ends, or that I threw out last week that this could also just be the end of Hina's world. Something could be happening to Hina, and to her it means that this is the end of the world. It would not explain the random god shit she does throughout this show that we don't have a clear explanation for. But
okay. I just like, speaking of like Hina's world, when they introduced, I can't even remember his name, the hacker dude or whatever, that was like I thought when he first was introduced, I thought that was another god, and I was like, they were introducing other gods into the story, and I was like, okay, I could get behind this, right? Like this is gonna be actually interesting. And then I'm like, oh, he's just like a criminal hacker.
Who knows? We don't know. Who
20
knows?
seconds of him, that's more than enough.
We've seen him in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the show, Michael?
Oh, I mean, as you guys know from the post-podcast bit yet last week that no one else got to hear, I liked the show a lot. I think the show does a lot of things well with its characters. I'm the kind of person who doesn't hate the character archetype that is Hina. I don't hate annoying females. I don't know why. I think they're funny sometimes.
Can we get a round of applause for not hating annoying females?
Yo, Michael, thank you for respecting women on this podcast. Whoa.
Like as I think was said on a previous episode, my favorite manga of all time is, I haven't read a lot, but like my favorite manga is Ejiro Naide Nagatoro-san, or Please Don't Bully Me Nagatoro-san, which is just a story about a guy and a girl in high school.
You're just a masochist.
It's Uzaki, but worse.
Maybe.
Oh god.
Yeah.
You just want them to step on you. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Not
okay,
actually.
we'll talk about that later.
That's post-podcast discussion.
I mean,
No.
I've enjoyed about
It's
a
the
lot of the
last
previous
episode of the
episodes.
podcast.
I think that one of the best episodes of this season, just in general, was the Izanami focused episode. That episode was really good. I really like this episode because I really enjoy solid bromances between characters, and seeing Yoda and his bro just being bros were great. Um, I don't know. I enjoy this show. I like all the characters. I think they bounce off each other really well. I like Izanami's now more of a person after her episodes. She's like talking more. It's a good show.
I follow Dodge. I want to let you go last because I think
yes,
you have
please.
the champion of the opinions.
Now you know how
I have the
feel.
correct opinion. Is what you mean?
I love me a good bromance episode, and that's all this episode did for me was just have two bros
Isn't that
ride a
sus?
motorcycle and then just jump,
No,
jump,
Pablo.
baby.
Like, stop. Isn't that sus, Sean?
The dude is a badass. Like, he's just out of high school, or like barely out of high school, right?
His motorcycle is too well
Dude's got a
animated for this show.
motorcycle.
It's too well
That's
animated
what
for
I was
this show.
thinking too. Like, it was nice. I was
Episode
like,
one's
damn.
animation, beautiful for it. This episode, really solid. I like this show. I think there are a lot of funny bits. The part where they look for Hina and they're like, guys, the only thing we're finding is a small girl asking people if they, telling people they like lollies and to have sex with her. I don't know what to tell you. And Yoda's just like, yeah, that's her. There's no one else that could be. And I appreciate a lot of the humor in this show when it happens, and I just enjoyed this episode overall. Dosh, tell me why you hate this show somehow again.
Hang on. Okay. So I was a big I flipped my coin last week. I was like, this show I actually really enjoyed. Episode 5, I think it was last week.
Yes.
I really genuinely enjoyed that episode. I fucking hate this show. The show is absolute dog. But some notes. Me and Pablo agree on one thing. The show is only good because Ramen Girl's in it.
Yes.
Outside of that, the show is hot garbage.
Absolutely.
But that's probably enough to keep Pablo interested for another week. So
again, right. Correct.
I think I hate that the jealous god is just gonna end up with the fucking main character. Like it's just gonna happen, and it's so dumb. I appreciate tropes. I appreciate using common character themes and archetypes and this and that, and everything about this is just not new to me though. Like it just feels like we're just mushing together a bunch of different episodes from different animes of this genre and then pretending that there's an overarching plot to it, which just has never really been addressed. Like they keep introducing more characters, which is nice when those characters matter at all, but like this is like also an episode where it's just like, oh, so this is just a harem now, but like we just keep introducing a new character every week to forget about next week. Izanami is so important now, and then she's just irrelevant this week. And I don't know. I'm just not a fan. I'm not interested in the show, and I don't think anything's gonna bring me back in. Yeah, I won't go too much further on it. It's kind of all my opinions on it. I just found myself asking when this show developed into a harem. Like it was like,
I
oh,
love
okay.
It's been building it. It's been building it.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
However, I do really like it. How I said it last week, and I still think it's a really good point to bring up. I like how he knows that the world is supposed to end technically. He doesn't know how or if it actually is, but he's not spending his last days any differently than how I think he would have anyways. Except for going out there a little bit more with the help of Hina, like actually like reaching out to help the girl he likes and so on. But I feel like he's just being himself, hanging out, just like doing things that I think he would normally do, help his sister, live his life a little bit more like interesting. But he's kind of just chilling. He doesn't really, I wouldn't say he wouldn't really care about the world ending, but he's not doing anything crazy like skydiving, like
and why is there no urgency though? The world's literally ending in a week and a half. Like
maybe he's content. Like he's had a good life. He's
not. He's just simping.
I don't see the issue.
I mean,
I don't see an issue.
I think part of it is that, and I think he's kind of expressed this towards the end of the past 2 episodes. If it is, he's okay. Like part of him doesn't believe Hina that it's going to end, and the other part of him's like, well, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. If that's what it is, that's what it is. And I think that's an interesting mentality for this main character to have. I also don't think it's playing that hard into this harem.
I
think
don't
I think like the only characters we have that remotely seem to have an interest in him are Hina, which seems very unrequited, uh, Izanami, who seems to be the main focus, and then the famous lawyer who
just because he cheated at Mojang.
Yeah.
Ramen Girls definitely did too. Don't even give me that.
Before we move on, I would like to express that this show has gotten me into playing mahjong. So beautiful. Even if this show goes next week, no. But even if the show goes next week, I am going to greatly appreciate it for all time for getting me into mahjong.
Jesus.
I just like, and I'm fine if it did go down the harem trope, but like, at least commit to it. It just feels half-assed to me. Like,
well,
I think a lot of things in the show feel really half-assed to me.
I think the bro now likes the ramen shop chick.
Who doesn't?
I think that's
we can't do this for another hour again. We can't. I have to stop us before we get into ramen discussion. Do we have any other thoughts? Are we ready to move on that aren't ramen related? Okay. Then Jackman. Iwakakaru.
Yes. Another good episode.
Oh wow! Okay, Dodge.
we get immediately out of the gate. We get June backstory. She essentially just she lives her, I guess, middle school days. I guess. Not really having any friends. Always kind of alone. She eventually finds one friend and they kind of bond. They talk about rock climbing and things, and her friend actually kind of likes the idea of rock climbing. They then June takes her rock climbing to like watch her, and she actually kind of likes it. However, at the same time, she thinks it's fun instead of it being as a competition. So she ends her only friendship based off of that. We then get into it, and we see how the last episode proceeded, with main chick girl, purple hair, trying to climb the last puzzle, the last route, but takes too long and kind of panics, and she realizes that she's like losing a lot of her grip strength and her strength overall from constantly staying focused on the next objective on repeat, constantly sending it in one. And she sends it, and then she falls. I think she tries it once or twice more, and then time fails. And the crowd is sad because she didn't send it in one, and everyone's just like, ah, shit. And we see her rival be like, okay, shit, I gotta send this next one, and she fails even more. She then, main chick goes and sits down, criticizing all the other competitors on how she succeeded on these rock sends. She's like, "Oh, you idiot! You're doing this wrong. Go next. Next person. You're doing it wrong." And then June comes out, and she's still criticizing as the people come out, while June then goes and climbs, and she's having this moment of inner dialogue of, shit, this is really hard. How am I inferior to so on, and why am I so much worse type deal. And as she continues and continues, she progressively continues to fail. And I think it's Izanami, right? Or is that the last chick?
That was the last episode.
Last chick. Show. Okay. Well, June is just flipping out. She can't progress. She fails. She goes to the next one. She continues to fail. She then goes to the next one and continues to fail, while she has the mindset of her just constantly failing on repeat. Just drives in her mind, as we get another flashback of June and how she always just, this is how all she did her entire life was all about rocking to become better. And then it snaps back, she falls again, and she gets to the last course, and she freezes and essentially just can't climb anymore. They have a brief moment of looking at each other, and they're like, holy shit, you were watching me do this entire time. And they have a little moment in the hallways, and June breaks down and cries, and then that's the end of the episode. I kind of got out of order, I think.
It's whatever. It was fine.
But
it's fine.
I think it was a good episode.
Bible thump for June.
All right, can I go first?
Go ahead.
Sure.
I enjoyed this episode, but I really wish June would have cleared at least one of the fucking walls.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna
Like,
say I
one,
think it's
just-
kind of unrealistic that she didn't clear at least one.
Because it's literally making our main character look so Mary Sue right now, and I don't like it.
Okay, so I'll jump in and defend that point. I think one of the points they brought up was that the semifinals, like the jump to the semifinals difficulty, is way higher and designed to basically like wall the shit out of every single person that got there. And we saw that with every other competitor, right? Like not a single one. I think like one person has sent a single wall of like the like most recently, basically like the first 10 people that have attempted it, basically for the top 20. And also part of that weighs into like, okay, there is that mental like block from like, okay, the 20th person could do it, why can't I thing, and people get angsty, and they only have 5 minutes to figure this shit out. And I think it does like kind of weigh a bit more heavily into like the Mary Sue type. I do agree with that, but I think it's just also Konami being the more analytical style. It seems like it's more favored in this type of walls. Obviously, I don't know much about rock climbing, so I don't know like what is exactly difficult about these and whatnot, but like just from sports anime, like that's what I can assume is like this favors more towards like the analytical side as opposed to the raw like dexterous side from the other groups, like in the qualification rounds or whatever.
So let me hop in that real quick. It was stated at the beginning of this competition that people who have an easier time with visualizing other people do it have a better time in qualifying. However, in semifinals, you have no idea what the rock wall looks like until you get to it. So it favors people who are a little bit more strategic in that sense and can analytically look and climb at the same time. That's what kind of makes the challenges really hard, is that these 20 people don't know any information on the rock until they're climbing it. I think that's what makes it really difficult in the senses, and of course the difficulty is also way higher.
So I just like I'll just chime in because like Villian, you said you didn't have like much like knowledge on rock climbing. It's like I've done so at my college they have a rock climbing wall and you can like do it in our gym, and I am not like a super like athletic person, but like I have reach, like I'm tall, whatever, but like maybe I'm just like sort of over analyzing it, but like when they did that big wide shot and it showed all the problems, and there was literally like 4 5 rocks whatever to climb before you send it, right? It Even if you get 5 minutes, in my head, if you are in the semifinals of this competition, it's like you should be able to, I think, at least get one of them, right? Like if you're the semifinalist, you have more talent than I don't remember how many people were
20.
qualifying. I know there's 20 qualifiers for the semifinals, but I don't know
That's
how
a
many
lot.
people. Yeah, right. If you were in the top
Yeah.
20, in my head, you are like the better of the competition, right?
Yeah, that's
And the fact that we're seeing all these people like just falling, it's like, and then our main character just happens to be able to send 3 out of the 4 in the first try. Like in my head, it's like, okay, that's kind of unrealistic. Especially like, yeah, she picked up rock climbing. How long ago? I don't remember how long the time's ago. A
2
month
months
ago?
maybe.
2 months ago. Like what kind of like did it for me. I was just like, okay, it's like it's nice to see our main character is like performing well, but the fact that June, who has been rock climbing since she was in elementary school, I think it was, or middle
she was
school,
like out the womb basically.
yeah, is unable to climb these walls that have like 6 rocks. It's like you really only have 1, maybe 2 paths to take. It can't be that like criminally insane to not be able to get at least one of them. I don't know. That was my only drawback
So
from the
I
episode.
think it's kind of hard to tell scale, which I think is it's kind of hard to tell, because instead of we're watching it instead of doing it type
Yeah,
deal.
yeah, of course.
So I think if you would go to such like a rock climbing gym and you saw the same type of holds and whatnot, I can feel like it's a lot difficult, and especially since there's only 7 or 8 rocks that you have to hold on to. I guess it's more of a thought process of how am I gonna hold on to this versus this is my only way of going.
But that's fair, but also you got to remember it's like these people that have been doing it for so long, it's like that can't be that difficult
You
for
think
them
it'd
to
come more
do.
second nature for
Yeah.
them.
It'll
It's
also
the
it'll
idea
also
of
tell
pressure, though.
Yeah,
which
that as well.
It's because like the big thing as we see with the ballerina character is that she finally breaks past the point of going, I don't need to one shot this, because the entire idea is that as everyone's going up, they've been going, how the hell did this rookie one shot these goddamn walls? Why can't I do it? This is weird. This is wrong. How did they do it and I can't? Everyone's getting stuck on that and is messing up because they're stressed that they're not going to be able to compete with a rookie. So the idea is the ballerina goes, I don't need to finish these walls. This is a team competition. I'm going to do what I can, and I'm going to accept that she's better than me right now. And the idea is that no one else has gotten past that point, which is why June has so much problems with it. June goes, how could she beat me? How could she beat me? And then Persephone gets more and more stressed as she goes through to a point where she literally breaks on the fourth wall and doesn't climb.
So I think my biggest issue with this episode is that uh, we've been given so many things to create this situation to have happened. The route setter is a difficult route setter. He's purposely made these difficult walls more so than they probably have been in the past. They are. It's a completely different setup for the semifinals than it was for the qualifying. You have Konami going first and causing a giant mental boom of everyone behind her just not being able to move forward at all. Um, but what's going to be incredibly frustrating is that we're going to get the top 5 and they're just all going to blitz it. It's going to be easy and done. Like it's like the leaders of each of the teams should not have a problem with these walls.
Power
They're
scaling too
yeah,
broken.
they're going to just blitz up all 4 of them probably. I just don't think even with how they've set it up that I kind of agree with Dylan and Tommy here that, and I think Dosh if he was on the same point too, that uh it's not believable that June falters all 4 walls. I think it makes far more sense if she is able to clear the first wall, struggles with the second and the third, and then has that breakdown on the fourth. Because to me, I don't think June should walk up to that first wall, struggle so hard with it, and have Konami so deep in her brain right away because she's experienced, because she's already tied with Konami and knows her skills and seen them firsthand. She shouldn't be surprised at how good Konami is, but she should also be able to match it in some way. I think it's unbelievable that she falters right away and just continues to do it for all 4 walls. I think it hurts her
Yeah.
character a lot.
In touching on that, I think going back to the points where you guys are saying, like, it reminds me that like June is also supposed to be the speed climb archetype, right?
Mhm.
Where like she's supposed to be able to climb quickly and efficiently, and so in theory she should be good under the time crunch, right? Because that should be like upper forte. But like, I mean, again, like it's hard to like get a gauge on exactly how difficult this is
Yeah.
with like an outside perspective. And I think that's what hurts this show the most is like being unfamiliar with it. It makes it so hard to understand the tension between it and like the actual difficulty of it. Like for example, like I'm gonna relate to a completely unrelated show here, right? But Jujutsu Kaisen has a grading scale for their demons, right? And they laid it out like, okay, here's what you need to beat a class 4. You need a baseball bat. Class 3, you need a handgun. Class 1, a tank might not do it. And S grade, you need a carpet bomb might not be enough, right? And that gives a good idea of just how strong some of these things are, right? But here we're just kind of throwing in, it's like, here's a wall. It's got 7 holds on it. Cool.
So
But we don't know without like having prior knowledge of rock climbing. Like I have no idea exactly where the difficulty lies in these at all, other than when they're like, oh, I gotta against this wall and like try to attempt this maneuver that we've explained like once, but you probably don't remember what it is. Kind of thing. Like I think that's where this show has a little bit of
Jackman, I was actually gonna say I agree with you on some of the points you've made here.
Yes.
I think the show's done a good job with what it can explaining how difficult these walls are because they are because you have to think about it. If you have less things to grab, it doesn't mean it's a faster climb. It means it's a more technical climb.
Yes.
And that's been established really well. And how much time it takes Konami to analyze the wall tells you how complicated they are. So I think for me personally. personally, I don't have a problem believing these walls are difficult. I have a problem believing that certain individuals, this is so difficult for, or it's so in their head right away.
So let me defend that real quick. So it'll be interesting to see how the captains do with this wall.
Yeah.
If the captains struggle at all during these walls, then you know right then and there that it's a hard ass wall. And that will allow some sort of visual of seeing all these other people failing, because it's only top 5 that move on, and there's only 3 top schools plus 2 others, right? So it you'll see exactly how the level changes. It will be really interesting to see how the main girls' school captain goes, and analyzes it, and then versus the Panther girl and then the Spider girl. It'll be interesting to see how they tackle these walls versus everyone else does.
Can I just point out the Spider Girl is probably one of my least favorite
100%.
antagonists.
Yeah.
Oh, the Spider Girl with bunny ears, you mean?
Yeah, that
I
girl.
want
She's
to see you
Bunny
right
Girl
in
Senpai.
She's one of my
Say.
least favorite antagonists.
Yeah, no, that archetype is my least favorite. We're talking about how that is very similar to a character in Yomushi Pedal, and it's just that the character's the worst. Those characters suck.
The Pedal character's thing is literally just, I want to see people in pain. And
I want to make you miserable, suffer.
And her character is much more of just, I want you to mentally suffer, and they're not enjoyable characters most of the time.
Yeah, but if I can just rephrase my point real quick, I didn't mean to say like I don't feel like these walls are difficult at all or anything. I do think like that. I mean, it's got to be difficult or something, right? Like if it wasn't difficult, everyone would be excelling, and they keep like making a point to say how difficult the walls are, right? And so I think how this show can kind of like rectify this issue that we're having is either having the main 5 or the main like 3, I guess at this point, the Black Panther, main girl, and Spider who can die, having them either A, struggle, or B, at least like kind of acknowledge the difficulty, right? And kind of acknowledge how difficult these walls are. I think that'll help kind of like give more of like a like, okay, maybe it's not that like, June just got like nerfed like super hard, like, but more like maybe it just favors more analytical style, and maybe it's just like, okay, this plays up to our alley kind of thing. But I mean, I think it was an okay episode. I think it was definitely weaker. And one thing that really bothered me was just a side thing is like they do a really bad job of sound in this show. And what I mean is like there was a scene where June starts climbing and the music just like feels like it just stopped for a second and then started a different track that was completely different stylistically, and it felt weird. But I mean, I thought it was okay.
I just want to like final touch on that point. It's like even if these walls favor analytical over performance, I'll say it's you can't just ignore the fact that this main character started climbing 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Even if she has this god ability of
gamer focus mode,
yeah, like of analytics, it's like the fact that she knows how to hold this rock this certain way, how to position herself to reach this rock this specific way. Like
they did do the training and all that,
but even so, it's like the fact that she can see it doesn't mean she should immediately have the capability to do it. And in my head, it's like I like this show. I think this episode faltered in the fact that they didn't make it very believable, and they basically just gave main character buff, and I'm not a fan of that. I would have
main
liked
character too broken.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen some either other people succeed in other places where other people's fell, but the fact that she got through 3 in one shot and then almost cleared the 4th where nobody else was able to clear a single one that we saw, like, I don't know, that's just not my forte.
Yeah.
Michael, you got other thoughts?
Also, I'll be right back. I'm really sorry.
Okay,
I
go ahead.
Go to the bathroom.
I can understand the not. I do think it's weird. Literally 0 other people have climbed a wall from we've seen one other person hit a zone.
Yeah,
but that's like a halfway point on a wall.
And because she committed to the zone only, basically.
I do think I really like the one part I really liked about this episode was when Konami gets halfway through analyzing the 4th wall and gets hit with decision fatigue and just cannot decipher the rest of it. I thought that was really cool because it shows she does have a limit. I think it would have been cool if on like the 2nd or 3rd wall, she ends up getting the zone but fails because her body physically couldn't finish the wall because she doesn't just have the ability to do it. Like she knew what she had to do, but she just isn't trained enough to do it. That would have been cool, but we didn't get that. We just got her going, yeehaw, I can first shot every single wall here. We didn't even see her do the second wall. I think it just completely bypasses it, which is weird that we just completely skipped the second wall an episode ago. I don't know. I think the show had been good. I think this episode faltered a bit on a bunch of things. I, for some reason, wasn't super interested in the June backstory. I think June's a really interesting character, but like, I don't know. Her backstory was just kind of like, oh wow, look at June being June, and we've known she's an asshole. We know that she does that.
What really bothered me about her backstory is that this other character has seemingly no relevance. I would have liked it if she was there, like watching at a big event like this one, and just seeing June falter like this. Like, I think there are a lot of ways you could implement that June backstory really well. I just feel like none of it's here. And for me, this kind of reflects this idea I've brought up before, where Iwakaku seems to be taking other ideas from other sports shows and going like, let's try this and that and this. And I just feel like if they're trying to go for like the very big character backstory struggle kind of story, you need more time with these characters. And this, for me, this stuff with June didn't really feel, what we saw while she was climbing didn't feel relevant to her issues while she was climbing. Like, sure, she's super passionate and like she like gatekeeps the hobby from people who aren't, and it always makes her alone. Uh, but that seems more like an issue that we've already addressed earlier in the show, whereas the center now should be that she's struggling to keep up with Konami, and that's what's getting her here, is that she has all this experience and she's helped train Konami, and Konami can climb these walls, but she can't. So it's really weird that those two, like the stuff we get for her backstory, doesn't really line up with her problems right now.
I think that switched towards the end of it, though. I think towards like after she saw Konami sitting there, I think that's when her mentality swapped to, oh shit, I can't do this. Why can't I do this when she's brand new? I could be wrong on that, but it'll be cool to see how her mentality changes moving on.
I'm interested
Because
to see what this show
yeah,
does for sure.
I am too.
I think how it handled. I don't know how much longer I'm okay with being in this competition, because I feel like this would
I feel like it's
benefit
the rest of
from.
the season.
I feel like it would be. There's no way this is the only. This is
It's
not the
not.
only
It can't be.
competition.
We only have like 5 episodes left.
Because I would say maybe 2 more episodes on competition, because it you have to see the captains go through, and that could be one entire episode.
You have the final stage, which in my opinion,
Yes.
I don't know how they do it. If they move right into the finals right after this day of qualifying and semis, Konami's not gonna be able to climb it. She's done. She's exhausted. There's no way she's gonna make it through the final stuff if it's right after. If there's a break and they have a couple of days between, that's a whole nother story. We'll have to see how they approach that for the future.
There was a couple of days between simming and a quarter.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there was. So yeah, I don't know if we're in here. I imagine we're in here for another 2-3 episodes, and then the last 2 are set up for a second season, because you have this red hair cat climber, who is very clearly important, and we saw her at the beginning of the show as like being where Konami's gonna get to. And it's really weird we haven't interacted with her at all, really. So I would hope is slated for more seasons, because yeah, we're closing in on a point where this competition seems like it's going to be the center focus for a large chunk of the rest of the show, and that doesn't leave a lot of room for other stuff either.
All right, I'm back. I had to take a wandering witch.
You're good. I think
Pablo?
we're kind of done this show. I
Yeah.
think, are we ready to move on to
We've
Pablo's
talked a
favorite
lot
show to
about it.
describe?
Yeah.
No bless.
Okay. I'm gonna ace this one. You guys ready?
Oh god.
Sorry.
Oh
So
no.
like this episode still got some fighting in it, right? And it's a lot of the end of the fight. So it's like and they're like but Rye walks in at the end of the last episode, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm about to fuck shit up. Like, I got my shit." And they're like, "Oh," Manabu's like, and you are like, "Fucking kill Cran." And Rye's like, "Okay." And then Cran's like, "Who are you?" And the second he says it, you just go fucking to the fucking ground. And Rye's like, "Who said you could talk?" And Cran's like, "Nani?" And he's like, "Tao, come here, let me suck your balls to get your power." And Tao's like, "Oh, okay." And the Manabu's like, "No, don't do it." And Tao's like, "Okay." So then he goes away. And then we find out that, well, Regis knows that Rai can bloodbend. So he's like the avatar, basically, of vampires. He's like, and sucks his blood out and then kills him or something. I don't fucking remember. It was a big explosion. Kills his ass. Up on the roof, we got Frankenstein still fighting Takio. And Takio's like, "Choo, choo, 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 choo." And Frankenstein's like, "Go fucking, like, needles." I don't know what he does, like lightning needles. But, Frankenstein's just too fucking broken and gets his ass. And Cyrus shows up randomly after her fight with Hammer, where she's fucking pulling out the fucking soul scythe. She's like the Grim Reaper or whatever. She's pulling out the soul scythe and shit. Kicks Hammer's ass. Frankenstein is like, "I must kill you now," and has the needles like come down to kill him. And then Tiger's like, "Whatever you do, there's this random boy down there. Please save him." And he's like, "All right, I won't kill you. You tell him yourself or whatever. You save him yourself or something." And then they leave. And M21's like being fucking useless. He's like, I have claw hands, but I'm profusely bleeding out." And he fucking passes out. I don't know what he does. But Tao escapes Kron, and then what happens is that M21's viewpoint, like M21's like sleeping, and then he wakes up in a bed, and Takio's just fucking there too. And he's like, "Oh shit, you just woke up?" And he's like, "Yes, clearly, you fucking idiot." Um, and they're like, "All right, let's go outside or something." And they go to the dinner table, and it's just a big fucking like aftermath of the fight and shit. Everyone's like talking, and like everyone knows that they're vampires now, I guess. And they're talking, and apparently the soul scythe shit is like a higher up noblesse thing, high rank. Apparently, there's a hierarchy. High ranks or like Regis ain't shit in my opinion, but fuck. Hold on, what happens then? Um. Hold on. Okay, so like, yeah, they're just talking and shit, and 21's like, "I just don't feel like I could protect anyone." And he's like all dramatic at the balcony, and Rai shows up and he's like, "Give me a kiss." Or something.
He sucked his blood.
And he's like, "I'll show you your true power." Mwah. And he's like, he's like, "That was your true power." He's like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "You seem to awaken it. Okay, bye." And 21's like, "Oh, maybe I do have purpose." And by the way, Tao's just like, "By the way, I looked up information on your lab mates. I ain't found shit. They deleted it." And he's like, "Okay, well, that was for nothing." Um, and then, and then Takio and Tao are like, we don't belong here. We're people from the Union who are like defective. We're leaving and we're gonna find our own place." And they're about to leave, and fucking 21's like, "Please don't leave. I love you." And they're like, "What?" And like, "Frankenstein, I know I can't really talk about shit, but can you please let them stay?" And Frankenstein's like, "What? Yeah, sure. I don't give a fuck." He's like, "Thank you so much." So Takio and Tao don't leave, and now they're all just fucking chilling, and that is it.
Two
Okay,
things.
you missed something pretty important.
Two things. Wonderful
No, I
job
did not.
otherwise. Takio's sister is not real. They planted memories into him about that. And
That was that episode. Damn it.
Rai also is spitting blood after using his powers. I don't know if you said that. We get a scene where he's with Franken and he coughs up blood, and Franken's like, "Whoa, that's not. You shouldn't do that."
He was just bending his own blood there, like he was flexing.
Yeah.
Like, I understand.
Jackman, can I very quickly get my thoughts out?
Go.
Mine are
Go
real
ahead. Go
quick.
ahead. Go ahead.
I think this show falters in the fact that it is in a season with 2 action shows that does action far better than it does. And then also that I enjoy the slice of life elements of our slice of life shows better than this show. I think Noblesse had a chance to hit home with this episode, and for me, the action's not as compelling, and I don't want to wait another 6 episodes to build up to another big thing. I'm kind of done with Noblesse in terms of terms of it on the podcast. I do like its use of its supporting cast, but that's about it for me.
Yeah, I can 100% agree. I was really excited like early on. I thought it was all about the red hair dude, you. I was hype as hell because this dude's just beating everyone's ass and he's just standing up for everyone. And then nothing happened. And nothing happened. And then something happened. He got kidnapped. And then nothing happened. And then a fight scene, and then a bigger fight scene happened, which I was really this episode was gonna be the big turning point, and the action just didn't do anything for me. It was cool as fuck to see Rai finally do something, but like, I don't know, it just fell short. It felt like I was watching like a slideshow fight. Just not much action in between frames type deal, and we do learn that Rai is 100% the original vampire from the back in the days of helping people, because Frankenstein is like, you're always so nice to those humans, like all the old times, and he's like, yeah. I don't know. I not a fan of it right now.
Yeah,
Hopefully it gets better in the next season or two, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a very similar thought to like the way Sean was talking about it, which is that I think the show is decent at action and decent at slice of life, but it doesn't excel in either, and it's in a season with some really good action and some really good slice of life. This week we had one of the best fight scenes I've ever seen in Akadama Drive. And we've had just absolutely amazing slice of life stuff the entire rest of the season with our like 8 fucking slice of life shows we have. This show just falls flat in both things, in my opinion.
If I have one regret, sorry, Michael. Dodge, if I have one regret, it's that I think this should have gone before Tonikawa. Continue, Michael.
Yeah. I think the show. My issue is that the show took 6 episodes to finally give me an interesting plot point, which was when Rai coughed off the blood. That was like the most interesting thing this fucking episode did. I was like, holy shit. Wait, Rai has limits to his power. That's actually really cool and could be really interesting later. But I don't want to get to a point where that's important 100 episodes down the line because they're going to forget about it and Rai's not going to be a character for 100 more episodes.
I think the biggest issue with that is like they spent the first half of the season building up DA5 just to have Rai come in and literally just fucking troll with them. Like you build up a villain, quote unquote, right? And then in 2 episodes, all of them are dead, and a problem is solved, and they barely even tried. Like,
yeah.
Like what kind of like? Where's the plot? What's the goal? I don't. The entire like I'm like okay,
Who's the
they're
main
gonna
character?
okay, DA5 is gonna do some work. They're gonna take somebody. There's gonna be this big climactic scene at the end of 12 episodes, and that'll be the first season, right? No, 6 episodes in, DA5's dead. They're all dead. They're done. It's over. Like
Yeah.
what?
This
That's
show is just worse One
It's
Punch
so
Man. That is all the show is.
Yes, yes. It's
Okay,
One
true,
Punch Man
true.
that pretends like there's stakes.
Paul's
Every-
vote swayed.
You got him.
That
He
is
has to
the
admit it.
best point I've heard for the show the entire time. That is the best take I've had since my life as a teenage vampire. Like, this show has 2 modes: the My Life as a Teenage Vampire, which is like a 4 out of 10 slice of life attempt, and then the action, which is like it's fine, but it's just there's no climax. There's no climax. It's like even when like it's like Frankenstein's fighting Takio and Takio's going in on him, and then Frankenstein's like, okay, I guess I'll break my vow and try, and just fucking just decimates him, and it's like, I guess that's it. Like again, the best parts of the show is when you was doing things, and now he's just irrelevant again.
Okay, let me put it this way.
Ugh.
It's Twilight, but gay.
Actually,
Let's
wait.
put it that way.
The one actually interesting plot
Twilight
point-
was pretty gay, wasn't it? Like it had a lot of like homosexual relations in it, didn't it?
We have one werewolf now.
I will argue the only interesting plot point I found wasn't even the blood. It was Takio not actually having a sister and just being a brainwashed idiot.
Oh, that was pretty cool.
What does he
yeah.
What does he
That
do
was
now?
fucking
What did these
sick.
2 do? We're
I
also
don't
out
know.
of.
They're security guards.
Also,
They
They're
use their
There's literally gonna be
details to be
security guards.
extra
Oh,
for
security
you're
school.
guards.
right. Also, no one else is allowed.
No. Tao's gonna be cybersecurity. Get it right.
Oh, my bad.
No one else is allowed to move into this fucking house. By the way, they only have 6 seats at that dinner table. They've hit maximum capacity.
Yeah.
So we're done. That's all the people living in the house now.
Tommy,
God,
what's
I
your
just-
thoughts?
I hate
Honestly,
this show.
Sean and
Yeah, okay, good.
Sean and Michael basically hit it on the head. I mean, I genuinely felt this way like watching the latest episode too. It's like we got some action, and then it's like there's just better shows with better action and slice of life. It's like I'm not even a slice of life fan, but I can admit that like this show doesn't satisfy it. So I mean I really don't have much else to add. Like they hit it on the head. It's like this show would have been good if it just wasn't released at the same time as like better shows.
Would it though?
Tommy, I have a question. Did we tell you to watch the OVA?
No.
Oh, so you got an even worse experience.
Oh no.
Yeah, there's a
My
35-minute there's a 35-minute OVA that's basically all action. And like it happens like before the first plot beat of episode
And I
1.
had to explain it to these
Hang
guys.
on, hang on. I feel
and
like that
did
means
not go
Tommy
well.
gets the better version because that means he didn't get his hopes up at
Yeah,
episode
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a really good OVA,
Mhm.
and then it just went flat.
It took us 5
Flatlined.
episodes to get back to it, and then it didn't feel as great as the OVA did, which hurt.
Well,
I can't imagine hopping into that show without the OVA because the show assumes you've watched it because the OVA is the first like 6 to 8 years of the
I blame
monologue,
Sean.
which is just
Okay,
an entire
well-
portion of the
I should
plot.
have told you, Tommy. I'm sorry.
You're not
It's
missing much. You're not missing
Fine.
much.
But like
Okay.
it misses the introduction as to who Rye is and who Frankenstein
That's
is. 'Cause you
fine.
leave them in that.
And
That's
M21.
fair, yeah.
There's still
And M21 and
'Cause
his
they
boy
did just
M24.
they
You
did
have no
just
idea who
kinda-
M24
yeah.
is.
They
That's
just kind
fine.
of threw those in. Yeah. Okay.
I made a
You
statement.
can watch it after.
No, probably won't.
I made a statement earlier on an earlier episode of the podcast that I felt like this was gonna be the manga that pacing wise was right between Tower of God and God of High School. I was wrong. I think it's adapting far too slow. So
It's a One Piece manhwa.
good for Tower of God for finding that middle ground, being the first one and being the best one so far in terms of adaptation wise. It feels.
Quick
Can't agree.
question: Is this a 12 episode or 24 episodes?
It's
12.
It's booked for 12 or
Oh,
13, but it's probably
yeah.
gonna get another season, just like Tower of God and God of High School are most likely gonna get
Okay.
additional seasons. They don't like to announce it for these, and I don't know how long they're gonna take because these are all Crunchyroll doing these, and I don't know how much money and staff they have to keep doing these.
Okay, well they better do Tower of God because Tower of God is
Tower of
like,
God has been announced. I know
Yeah,
that's
it's
they
getting
could make that like a 6-year program, honestly.
yeah.
we
it's,
don't
it's
know-
a long running.
when we're getting it. We just know we're getting it. Dylan, do you have other thoughts? This is your show.
I'm so ready to get rid of this show. Are you kidding me? Please get rid of this. I don't want to explain it anymore.
But like, there's a worse evil.
Well, we
I'm-
can before
I'm
we
cool with half.
Can we
of
vote
these
2 shows
getting-
up this week?
before
I'm cool
before
with half of them getting yoked.
before we get to that, Jackman,
Ah,
let's
turn?
take a breather. Jujutsu Kaisen.
ooh.
Hell yes.
This show was insane. Let me just put it out there. We immediately jump into the fight scene from last episode with Gorjo and fucking Mount Fuji.
Gorjo.
Krakatoa or whatever the fuck. He gets out of the car. The fucking Krakatoa just jumps out in front of him
Calling him.
and fucking blasts Gorjo with like insane amount of heat. Just the road melts. It just blows everything up. And then the fucking Krakatoa dude is just like, oh shit, that was fucking easy. Walks turns around. You just see the molten lava just dissipate from fucking Gorjo, and he's just like, oh, so Gorjo's like, oh, so this guy must be at least stronger than the current Sukuna. And Krakatoa is just like rubbing his fucking cork gears shit, and just thinking like, oh, this is gonna be a fun ass fight. Smiles all weird, and then we get into the banger intro. Still probably one of the better ones. And Gorjo is like, oh fuck yeah, we can finally fucking fight. Cracks the knuckles, and just enjoys the fight. And the Krakatoa thinks that he hit him again directly, and he smiles and he's like, fuck, why is this dude so easy? And fucking Gorjo Sensei just appears out of nowhere, and he's like, I've got this infinity space. And the Krakatoa dude is just like, what the fuck does that mean? And Gorjo's like, I can teach you if you would like. And he just has this little moment of funny trying to teach how this fucking thing works, mocking him. And he's like, "I'll just give me your hand, I'll show you." He pulls him in, and like Krakatoa just like puts his hand up against Gorjo, and there's like this little field that slows everything in front of him. And then Gorjo fucking grabs him like an idiot. Fucking Krakatoa is like, "Yeah, this is a good idea." And he just gets fucking whacked, and just blood comes out, and you see the blood just like hover in front of Gorjo because of the field that is around him. And he just summons this fucking black hole dimension of infinity space and just blasts the shit out of this fucking volcano, and just sends him fucking flying through trees and all that shit. And Krakatoa launches another burst of energy, and they land in this fucking lake. And we see just the flashback of the evil dude headmaster, I guess, of one of the schools. And he's like, "You'll get fucking killed if you fight him." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm probably gonna fucking die." And then he's like, "Oh, this is a perfect time for my domain expansion." And fucking Gorjo Sensei's like, "Oh, this is a perfect opportunity for my student." And he just blinks away to fucking Yuji, and they're watching Lord of the fucking Rings for one. And Gorjo's like, "Damn, he's actually fucking progressed really quickly." And you see Yuji with the fucking bear, not popping it, not struggling. Even when Gorjo fucking scared him, it still is asleep. So Gorjo's like, "All right, let's progress. Come with me, and I'll teach you something." And they go back to the lake immediately. And Yuji's like, "How the fuck did we get here? We were just in the school like a minute ago." And Gorjo is just fucking just talking mad shit to this volcano, and it's like, "Oh, this thing?" Or Yuji's like, "How are we?" Like, "That thing's fucking strong. This is the strongest thing I've ever seen." And Gorjo's like, "That thing? That thing's fucking weak." And the Krakatoa just fucking explodes. He just gets anger. Yuji just sees this fucking thing just get even stronger, just fire blowing out from threes from his head and fucking ears. And then he summons his domain, and we see what this domain is. It's a black space, where the summoning creature can choose whatever's inside of it. So for Krakatoa, it's like earth and lava just shattered. And we find out that whoever's inside the domain, that the attacks always hit, no matter what, unless the domain is stronger than the other domain, and it counters acts. So Gojo teaches this lesson to Yuji while they're fucking in the domain, and Gojo's just beating everyone's ass. And we finally get to see Gojo's fucking eyes. Fucking blue ass sphere, just crystal fucking eyes. Yeah. And fucking he summons his domain, and it's a fucking void. A void of nothing. And Krakatoa is just fucking standing there, just dumbfounded, and is just like, "What the hell is going on? I can't do anything. Where the hell is everything? Where the fuck am I?" He can't do anything but fucking speak, and then it transfers into a fucking void. And it does this really cool like art like fucking effect with like ink, and there's like points of the void in the fucking ink itself, which I think is pretty cool. And you see Gorjo Sensei just holding fucking Yuji by the arm, and it just has his other hand on the fucking Krakatoa, and just rips the shit out of his head in a really cool art like drawing change of art style. And essentially that's the end of the fight. They go to interrogate, and one of the other special grade classes goes and fucking saves the head so he doesn't get interrogated or even killed. And it's like a fucking really cool druid fucking thing. And they Gorjo and fucking Yuji just come into this curse, and they're like, everything's nice and pretty, and let's not fight. And then Gorjo slaps himself, and he comes back to reality. He's like, "Fuck, I almost fell into this curse." And then Yuji gets fucking sucked up by a tree, panics, and Gorjo helps him. You see a little scene where Yuji just fucking gets on his knees, saying that I'm sorry that they got away. And then they just continue on with the training, and the other dude goes back to his room, which is like an infinite space of a beach, and we find out another villain, which is I don't think named. And
They
then
named him, but they only said it once. I don't remember.
Gotcha. The two special grade characters come back through, and then the banger ass ending opens up, and then at the end credits, you get a little soccer scene with them playing with the head of Krakatoa,
So good.
which I found was pretty
so
funny.
good.
But that's about it, really. Anyone want to unpack that first?
Yo, me and Tommy watched this last night, and I was
was
popping off the whole
cool.
time. Oh man, this show it's so fucking good.
This show has the best artwork I've
It's
seen
so
in a
good.
long time. Like
For a pure shonen.
Like the scene where they go into the like infinite space or whatever I don't remember what it was called, but when they go into that, the infinite domain, and like, first of all, Gojo's hot. Like, oh no, he's hot.
Alright.
He does the blindfold, and we both like, oh no, he's hot.
I am all about bromances.
Oh no,
romance is
he's
hot as fuck.
But like, that was some Kakashi level shit where he took off the blindfold. As soon as he started pulling it down, I was like, oh shit, it's getting real.
Dude, man.
And like, I don't know. This episode, I was hooked the entire. There was not a single point in this episode that I was like bored at all. It was just crazy. I loved it.
It's also like the power scaling of like, okay, so Gojo just basically fucked with an 8-finger strength special grade, like, and he wasn't even trying. This man is just toying with him. He's like, all right, here, hold my hand real quick. All right, now I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Hold my hand. You can't do shit. Like,
actually just teaching him shit.
Hang on, be right back. I gotta
killing things.
He just blasts him through trees, ends up on a lake, and he goes, I got time. Let me go show Yuji something real quick. Choop, choop. All right, so Yuji, this is an 8-finger strength. You guys have to beat these guys. Now let me teach you something. So this is a domain, and if you just have a stronger, like, there's two ways to fight it. Either you just take the hit and punch back, or you just embrace your own domain, like this. Oh, by the way, my domain is the Tsukiyomi from Naruto. Good luck. Like Gojo's nuts, dude. Like, he mentioned what he does, but like how his powers like control infinity or something.
Yes, it's like infinity, which I assume is gravity.
And it's weird because like it's like space time actually too, because he mentions as you get closer to him, you slow down, right? Like he can slow you down in the space around him, and it's just
he mentioned
so crazy.
When the guy was like stuck, he was like, you're able to witness and experience everything, and because you are witnessing everything, you can't do anything. And I think that's like a really cool concept, which in theory sort of like makes sense. Like, if you are experiencing so many things, like, what do? But
Sensory overload, basically.
Yeah, and it's like, I love how we finally get an actual idea of just how strong Gojo is. And I mean, we saw it in like the second episode, right, where he fought Sukuna. But like, that was a 1-finger strength Sukuna, and now we're getting an 8-finger strength, and he still is just like toying with it. And
I'm glad this happened now and not like 100 episodes in.
Yes.
Like, I like the flex. Oh my god, this show's so sick though. Like, it's just so sick.
Everything's on point, from like artwork to fucking music to fucking just the comedy moments.
Yes,
the brief comedy moments, the drawings, the low res stuff, and just like it just brings like a mood of real like happiness, but at the same time the show's fucking dark as fuck, right? And I mean, like last episode or 2 episodes ago, Krakatoa literally burned an entire restaurant to cinders, right?
Yep.
And
just burned
then,
people to the ground that walked by.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think this show's fucking insane.
And it's never boring too, is the thing. Like you said, like, it's just good from like minute 1 to the credits. You're just like, you're locked in, and you're like,
even the credits
even the
good.
credits. Yeah, no. The ending is the best ending of the season by far. Like, it's not even close. That song slaps. But man, I don't know. Michael, Sean, do you guys have any thoughts on this one?
Michael, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know what else to say other than the show is amazing. Like, there's literally nothing else to really say here. And as someone who hasn't gotten to talk at all because I'm new, I've liked everything the show has done with all of its side characters as well. I think the plot of Itadori dying and then coming back to that being hidden, giving a reason for the other two characters, I don't remember the goddamn names, but the other two first years, giving them a reason to train.
I know the
they
guy
don't
is,
want to lose someone.
I know the guy is Megami. That's all I know.
Yeah, we haven't heard the girl's name in a long ass time.
Yeah.
I wrote them
But, like,
down
yeah.
like last week, but yeah.
It now explains greatly why we got a lot of her backstory in the episode she showed up, because the show had intentions of not having us see her on screen for a while.
Yeah, we've seen her.
I want to
but
see
it
more
was for a very
Panda.
limited
Show me
time.
more Panda, please.
Yeah, I want to see Panda go ham. I want to see his
Panda go ham.
cursed
Why is
techniques.
his name Panda?
He's just
Because
Panda.
He's
he's
just
a
a
panda.
panda.
It's Panda
Didn't
stuff.
you get the lore? Like he's Panda. Like I don't.
Yeah,
Like,
But like, what
I
about
feel
him
like
as a panda?
that's
He's
he
a
is
wimp.
a panda.
He is a panda.
What?
That's literally the backstory they gave Pablo. They're like, this is
did
green
you-
haired senpai. She's the best cursed tool user. This is Gamamori, I think is what his name was. He's a curse word user who only speaks in rice terminology. And this is Panda. And then she goes, "You're not gonna say anything else about the panda," and it cuts away from them. That's all we know about Panda.
What
He's
about
Panda.
him as a panda?
I think okay,
Everything.
so I
Are you
think
watching
is
the same
Panda.
show we are?
I'm definitely not fucking with you guys, by the way.
He is
Okay.
Panda.
Dylan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought this shit was dope. I really like domains, and I
Yeah.
want to know more about them. That's it. I think it's really cool how you could just like, are you teleporting or are you bringing
You're
the?
creating a space around you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
But
it
are you?
is.
But that.
Come.
So like, but they have names for it, right? So you have the
Yes.
like they have the infinite domain, and then I think Krakatoa was like Coffin of the Iron Mountain or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like,
something
is
yeah.
that an area somewhere already? And are you taking them to that dimension?
That's what it feels
Or,
like.
or are
I
you
think it's just-
bringing that dimension here?
I think that is like the alternate reality of which these curses originate from to a degree.
Yes.
Like
Proper,
it is the source of strength for these curses.
proper
Because-
domains seem to take shape just and exist in its own space, whereas incomplete domains, like we saw with the thing that we watched Sakuna slaughter in the prison, like integrate the environment into it. Like they're not complete in that regard. It
'Cause-
also seems to be based on the curse themselves, because that curse came to life in that prison, so that area became its domain, whereas like the other ones seem to exist in their own spaces, and thus you can project the domain and take people into them, is what it seems like.
Because I really want to know more about Sakuna's domain then, because that shit was dope.
Speaking of Sakuna, Villain and I
Yeah.
mentioned this when we were watching this. Is when will we finally see Sakuna like
When's he gonna take over?
Yeah, when's he gonna take over? Even
Right.
if it's for a minute, I was sort of hoping he popped out when he saw this really strong S grade like demon. I was hoping they would implement it somehow. I mean, I know
I
it's
don't
only for a
think
minute,
he would
but
do it next to
Gojo.
Garo
Gojo.
Gojo.
but still,
Gorjo.
Gorjo,
Gojo.
because
but
he
still,
doesn't. Well, Sakuna doesn't want him to know that he has.
Yeah,
Because remember, he
that's
even
true,
asked
true,
him,
true.
"Did you
Oh,
do any
you're right,
pacts
you're
with
right, you're
Sakuna?"
right,
And Dory's like,
you're right.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't think so.
"Ah."
Probably not.
Well, he told
I
no,
don't-
he told him to he wouldn't remember it. Remember, like when
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But-
when Gojo asked him about the packs, Itadori was like, "Well,
I
we
talked with him.
talked, and I'm not really sure."
Well,
It's
yeah,
kinda
because
fuzzy."
Sakuna told him he
Yeah,
wouldn't
but so
remember
Gojo
it.
kind of
like-
already has an idea, but
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah,
still,
that's
like,
my point. Like,
I
he
but
doesn't
he
wanna
doesn't
make
know
them-
for sure that there was a pact made or what the pact was, which
Exactly.
is what Gojo's kind of like skeptical
I
about.
want to see the strength of Four Finger Sakuna. That's what I just want to see.
Time to get more
yeah.
fingies.
More
Fingies.
fingies.
On
yeah,
the hunt
I
for
didn't
them
mention
fingies.
one of my favorite things about the show is the idea of the innate domains is that it's going to make so every fucking fight later down the road is going to have an amazing new set
Yeah.
piece because
Yep.
every fight can have a completely original set piece built around
Setting
the
and
characters
counter
fighting.
things.
It'll be amazing.
Do you think what's his name? Dog guy. Do you think that him with his hand going through the floor
Megami.
there was like kind of like him discovering his own domain kind of thing?
I don't think that's the
I don't think
implication
so.
of it.
Or you think it's not quite there yet?
I don't think
I think it's
that's it.
Yeah. So I want to touch a point on that. I think his curse is being able to speak with other cursed objects that can not cursed objects, but other curses that can implicate with his shadow, right? So I think he can pull and make contracts with curses from shadows. So essentially, he just pulled. I think what he did, he just reached down into his own shadow to like either pull or make a contract with something that can hold a weapon, which I think was what that was. I think his actual domain will be like a shadow, just like a black shadow, maybe something a little cool, interesting. But like all of his packs can then come into type deal. I think would be pretty cool.
It'll just be like the forest from Slender.
Oh
Yeah.
no!
It
Oh no!
just
This show can
shatters
take its
everywhere.
time.
And it gets all static here, like what's happening?
Also, just to mention one final point about this, we saw something for the first time. We saw demons that were actually able to have like coherent, like conversations with people.
Yeah.
And Villain actually brought up a really interesting point about the villains that they're introducing. I don't know if you want to talk about it. I don't want to.
Yeah. I was just mentioning, like, we noticed that the two humans, or I'm assuming like at least one of them is an exorcist, or I guess or sorcerer for sure. Which one we were to previously, and then the one that he's actually underneath also had very similar scarring and stitching, which he had more so than what we've seen from our main villain so far. So the question becomes like my theory is like maybe they've stitched themselves like to be like more of a direct combination with a curse than like say this kind of pact or agreement that the sorcerers are used to using. Like I feel like this is more like a direct like arm for an arm with a curse kind of thing, you know. But I'm not like again like I have no idea like what's going on with the stitching, but like it's definitely something we've seen with the two humanoids that are with these curses. And it's creepy as fuck.
It could also be that they're just fucking dead, and that something brought them back.
No, because we
Type
know
deal?
he's one of like the headmasters, isn't he?
Well,
He's a higher up. We
He's
don't
a
know.
higher up to some degree. We don't know which school he's with. I imagine
Yeah.
he's the other school, just due to the implication of they shouldn't
Well,
see me right now, because I get the feeling that that implies it's going to cause problems down the line. I think given how Gojo is, I don't think he has direct affiliation with their school. I think he's probably the other one.
so what I noticed, like they mentioned, like I don't remember the like one-armed demon's name is or whatever, but when he was like, you can save him. I don't know if you
Hanami.
have the autonomy. Yeah, Hanami. He was like, we are human. It's like we are humans after all. And then even when they went to the like the beach scene, the main villain guy, like one eye was still colored, the other one was gray. So
Mhm.
what villain mentioned, he was like, maybe it was like a forced like connection with the demon where they like forcibly sewed a demon into them to get power, and that's why they have like the stitching. And I don't know about Hanami. Maybe he's just like maybe he is just a demon that was brought back to life and like something like that. But I think that'd be a really cool concept if like in order to gain strength they forcibly put demons into them.
Yeah, we'd have to see. We'll have
Yeah.
to see. That's all it boils
I'm
down
excited to see. It's not going anywhere. The show's sick.
So, real quick, Tommy, what time do you have to leave?
I have to leave in
hour.
35 minutes.
Let's
Okay.
35.
we can
Oh.
we
Yeah.
can attempt to blitz
Zoom zoom
this.
zoom zoom.
Or I was gonna say just swap to Wandering Witch and then come back to Taiso.
Yeah, sure, we can.
Yeah, we
Because
do
Tommy
that,
didn't
yeah.
watch Taiso.
Yeah, we
I
could
did not.
perfectly
that-
fine.
That works out
Yeah, that
perfectly
works.
then.
That works really well. We'll do Wandering Witch, and then I don't know if we'll. You already casted your votes, Tommy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if
I
you're
did.
if you're good with that, we can after we do Wandering Witch, if you want to pop out, we can talk Taiso. We'll cast our votes, and I'll post in the Discord what the verdict
Sure.
is.
Alrighty, so wandering shit. I mean, which?
Bruh.
So episode 7 was a two-part episode, which personally I hate those kind of episodes. The first part was called "The Walled Etched by Travelers." We get a flashback, sort of, I guess, yeah, of
Mhm.
Elena's mother going to this town that is, or not town, I guess
Spoilers.
it's okay, well, we assume it's her
It's
mom, but
Berlin. It's Berlin.
whatever. Yeah, it's sure. It's two countries that are
They
separated by a
plagiarized
wall.
Berlin.
Um, it's two countries that are separated by a wall. Each side basically is assuming or believing that they are better than the other wall. And this traveling witch, they're like, how do we prove that like this wall is better than the other? So she takes the officer's knife and writes into the wall that this side of the wall is better than the other. And then she's basically saying like, oh, whichever town or whichever country is better is going to have more like etching in the wall, right? And so she goes over to the other side, convinces the other officer, to do the same thing, and basically starts this fade of people etching, or travelers, whenever they come through, they etch into the wall their like comments and stuff. And then we get a flashback to Elaine as a kid reading about it, and she's like, well, which side has more comments, right? And then her mom was like, well, you're gonna have to go find out one day. Then we get a cut to Saya visiting the wall, and she's like, do you have a knife? And she's like, oh, I love Elaine. Elaine is mine, blah, blah, blah. Let it, and like carving into the wall. And the guy's like, what the hell are you doing? And she's like, well, why don't you have everybody write into the wall? So like, even the people living there. So then everybody starts writing into the wall. This causes a few problems, and people start writing comments, and like, even couples are writing like, forever, you're whatever, but then they break up. So like, people want to start taking down comments, which eventually causes the wall to be torn down. Uh, Pretty much right before Elaine gets there, and Elaine's like, well, why'd you tear the wall down? And they're like, well, the disagreements that we had basically don't matter anymore. We realized that like we've gotten over our issues, whatever. She's like, well, who had more comments? I need to know, like, this is what I wanted to see. And they're like, well, isn't it obvious, like we had the same amount? And she's like, that's cap. But so then she's walking along the road. This girl is like selling or giving out parts of the rock, or of the wall, and she takes one of the rocks, and wow, it just happens to have part of her name written on it, and it's kind of ironic. Then it cuts to the second half of the episode, called The Grape Stomping Girl, where she goes to these neighboring villages called this village and that village, which by the way confused the hell out of me. And they're basically two villages that compete in selling wine. And this village, I think, was called, or maybe it was that village, I don't remember, started selling one with this girl on the label named Rosemary, and she was basically like a, I don't want to say mascot, but like a emblem for this company, this village, or that village. See, I don't fucking remember.
For that village.
That
village started using the power of simpage.
Yes, that village.
That village.
And so their sales started going like through the roof. So then she's like, well, oh, why don't you get your own person to do it, right? And they're like, okay, cool, you'll do it. So she starts stomping grapes, and realizing like she stomped like all day and she only got like half a cask of wine, and she's like, this seems fishy. How are they able to produce this much from one person? So then they go with this village like leader, and they spy on the other village, and they see that like Rosemary is like getting all these guys to do it for her. They tie them up in the middle of the town square, and they're like, what you're doing is wrong, like you're not producing wine made by Rosemary, like it's not actually her stomping it. So then they get into like a grape throwing session, which turns into like a festival thing, the grape throwing festival event that they do every year now. And I guess this episode was trying to show like a life lesson or something, which cool, but like that's not why I'm watching anime. I don't care. Yeah, the show definitely filler, definitely trying to teach the youngins life lessons, but that's cool. Get the show out.
Important life lessons like fetishization makes money. What a
Important
great
life
second
lessons
half
of-
of the episode.
Important life lessons of slavery is a thing. I'm not gonna do anything about it.
This
slavery on the
podcast
Saber
does
Slave
not
podcast.
endorse slavery.
We
Not
do
endorsed.
not.
We do not endorse
We
slavery.
do not.
We may
Regardless of what
occasionally
Sean tells you.
we may occasionally slip up, and we might say this is the slaver say, the saver or slave. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yes.
We don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
We may not
Regardless
be
of
able
what
to
Sean
talk.
tells you.
We do not condone. We do not condone slavery on this podcast.
Do you want me to just go, or
I mean,
have someone else?
I'll get mine out of the way quick for
Okay.
this. I don't dislike the first half of this episode. I did the same thing that you all did, which went, this is just the Berlin Wall. Weird. The fact that all of us had that notion says something about that. It was okay. I didn't have too much problem with it. I hated every second of the second half of this episode. And Michael and I discussed this. It seems like this show is following an episodic pattern, where episode 1 is a Fran episode, episode 2 is a Saya episode, 3 is a split episode, so you have half and half, and then episode 4 is another full story that is involving Elaine, and then it repeats. So then it's Fran, Saya, 3, an episode split in half. So the next one should be its own standalone story if it follows that pattern, and then we'll see Fran,
with
and then we'll see
original
Zaya.
characters.
Yeah. I don't. If that's the case, man, it really fucking sucks when we get these split episodes because they do feel a lot weaker. And I very much did not like this week's episode nearly as much as I've liked previous ones. It also feels like whoever is working on this show listens to our podcast and heard Dylan and Jackman go, "How come she doesn't get involved with anything?" And then they're like, "Fine, fine, we'll let her get involved in everything now. Are you happy now?" And you go, "No, I still don't like the show." And they're like, "We don't know what to do anymore." I'm a little bothered by how involved she's been getting the past 2 episodes because that, as I was trying to establish for the show, because I didn't think it did a good enough job.
Okay, wait,
there are
but the
rules that
second
make her.
episode, the second part of this episode, she wasn't exactly volunteering. She kind of
That's
got
true. She
forced
didn't really
into it.
have a
She
situation
got
there.
shit faced. Let's go.
Yeah. So I mean,
She
it's
drank a glass of wine. Let's put that out
And
there.
gets
No,
insta
she drinks
shit-faced.
like 6. She
I
constantly
didn't even
keeps
know.
refilling it. You see it constantly get back to full.
Dude,
keen eye for detail.
I don't know.
I'm indifferent about the show this week. I don't think it was a solid week. I don't hate it. Doesn't make me hate the show as much as Jackman does, but I definitely don't think this was a strong week for it.
Dude,
Can I go
go
first?
ahead, Pablo. Spew your guts, brother.
Yes. So I was pretty okay with the show last week. No longer. I hate this show again. Get the fuck out. Get this show the fuck out of here. This show is awful. Oh my god, dude. How did I let this actually how was
I don't
indifferent to this
know.
a week? Like, why did I just enjoy this for a week? Like, for a week, it's like, oh, it's pretty good. And then it just slams down my expectations. Like, by the way, this is why we suck again, remember? Why do we have multiple stories in one episode? Are you just that out of ideas? I don't understand.
I will say the small bits of fighting that they do, I'm not against. Like the first episode where they had the training, quote unquote, whereas the witch was training the apprentice and they were having the magic fight, that wasn't that bad, right? And then even in the previous episode before this, where they had the fight with the king and they were shooting shots at each other, whatever, it wasn't a lot, but it wasn't terrible either. But when it's literally just 2 slice of life half episodes, I'm just okay, get this out.
Yeah, I think one of the points you made a lot on the show is when they do magic, it's really good, and then they just decide not to do magic, and it's but that was your best part. That was the best part. Why did we stop doing the good thing? And it's just it's disappointing because the show this is a show of it's such an interesting world. It's a good premise, and it's just not quite doing anything with it. I like the duality of the stories. I like how they're both the 2 separate villages arguing in the 2 different different stories to tell the same meaning, right? To a degree. And Saya fucking things up was a nice change of pace. It's something different instead of just being Elena. And I thought it was pretty funny that this village that village thing. I thought that was funny, and I didn't like the time them retelling the story 10 years later, because it after the first story it made me really confused of wait, is this Elena's story or is this the other Wandering Witch again? Or I had to go back to the start of the episode and figure out okay, was this Elena the second story or was it the mom, presumably mom again, right? I actually didn't know, because the previous story was just oh, by the way, it was Elena's mom at the start of this. Isn't that funny? Ha 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 ha. And then the second story was okay, this one's Elena, but this is them retelling this a decade later after they get married and have kids. It was weird. I agree, this episode was weak. I was not a fan of it. I'm still saving it because I like making you guys suffer, though. And a reminder that this show lasted longer than Tony Kala.
Don't worry,
which it
guys.
shouldn't have,
I disagree. I think we made the right call. Maybe last week should have been Noblesse, but you know what? We'll rectify that. This week it'll be Noblesse,
By
and
voting Noblesse.
we can talk
Yeah.
Wandering Witch next
Yes.
week. Who knows? Maybe
Thank
it
you.
won't.
I agree.
If
I
it
agree. I think that's a
suffers,
great
okay.
plan.
Okay, gentlemen,
I'm
we
not
have-
making a blood
I
pact
have a
here.
confession to make.
Uh-huh.
There was no change in fucking font this week.
Oh my
Oh.
god. I was gonna
What?
ask that. I was did they change the font back to make it not insufferable?
However, this show is god fucking awful.
No, it's not.
The first time it did this split episode, right?
It was good.
It introduced 2 really cool storylines and did nothing with it. This time it did it. It introduced a weak ass storyline and an even worse storyline that she got involved with. And it's just like I don't understand what is her story anymore. Because she wouldn't know Saya was there, right? Unless she talked with Saya, right? Because immediately after her mom's story was played, it then jumped into Saya's perspective, but it was telling the story from Elena's viewpoint of Saya, right? And then I don't know if it was like a couple years later or something like that. Then Elena comes in and she's like, "How the fuck did this happen? I have no idea." And I just hate it. I don't know what is her story and what is not her story, how the 2 stories are combining into her own. I don't like how the timeline. I don't know any sense of timeline. I don't know why she's here. I get she's traveling, but like I don't know. I just don't like it.
I think the order of the first story is mixed up because I think it should have gone mom backstory, then Elena comes up to the crumpled wall, then it goes into them telling about this other witch that showed up and did this as Saya's story, right? Like, I feel like the order that
it's just there's things that are just out of order.
I don't think so either, but like
I don't think it matters because the idea is, if you're wondering what's the story that Elena's telling, it's only ever the things where she is on screen. Everything else is just context for us, the viewer. So knowing the mother's story, knowing Saya's story, just contextualizes the story for Elena. Otherwise, how Elena's writing her story is just, there was a witch. Who knows who the witch was? But she came and did this. And then when I got there, like, the actual story she's telling is arguably probably worse than the one we're seeing because we don't have the context that it's Saya.
We're assuming that she's writing a story on this place, though, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's the idea.
She just wanted to be here because she wanted to find the town that her mother described.
Yeah.
There's not necessarily something that's going to go into her journal about it. She probably mentioned that the town was like crumbled now. The wall is crumbled, right? And the town is resolved. But
why
like,
is it shown?
it's not a major part.
That's what I don't. That's what I don't like.
I can't tell you why the directors pick what stories go in or not. I just take
I'm
content
just trying
and
to
consume.
rationalize it.
It's just like, okay, this show, I've said it many times. If it's focused on travel, make it about travel, right?
Yeah, she traveled to the isekai town with a wall in the middle of it.
God damn.
I'll put it this way.
Traveled
I have
to Berlin and left Berlin to France. Like, hello?
Yeah, I mean that's how Europe is, though. It was like a 2-day trip, probably.
True. Maybe she's just going through Europe.
So what the last final say on this, because I don't want to spend 40 minutes talking about the show, because I don't think we need to.
Sure.
Oh, we can spend enough.
The last thing I'll say about this is, I still would rather watch another episode of this than Noblesse. That's it. All right, thank you.
I don't know what is a worse evil.
It's actually hard to tell, isn't it?
Or this show.
I think this show has more potential to entertain me in a one-shot episode than Noblesse will in the next 6.
What show do you have more fun talking about on the podcast? Wandering Witch
Boom!
or Noblesse? Where you
I don't
always
know.
go,
Noblesse.
I like
100%
hearing
Noblesse.
Pablo's
Please-
recaps. I'm sorry.
Please
So,
get rid of Noblesse.
I like hearing Pablo recaps.
Wait,
talking about it.
I'm just saying, Pablo, if you don't want to talk about Noblesse, you gotta spare.
The only thing that'll suck is that's our earliest anime, so we're gonna have to wait till like fucking Friday every week. It's gonna suck balls.
We already do.
Sucks balls.
you could still watch
It's
Noblesse.
better than like having to,
Yeah,
like,
I'm probably
watch a
going
show
to.
and
Yeah,
then
so-
just
She
see how it
stepped
goes. I don't
on
gotta explain
grapes
it.
during this episode. Like, I just don't understand
we get it.
how
She
she didn't even
stepped
show feet. There's
on
no feet in this.
Yeah, there's a shot where she
There's
massages her
definitely
foot after
feet.
stepping
There's
on them.
definitely
Yeah.
feet pics in this.
Look, I don't.
Dude,
This episode's all
this
about
show-
fetishization. It's
this
the worst
show-
episode.
She traveled
Yeah,
to another
part 2 is
city
fetishism.
and did nothing in the city, and then traveled to a village and did barely nothing
she
in the
got a rock.
village.
I will not disagree with you that this episode is dog shit, Jackman.
I heard. I won't say I really enjoyed this episode either.
We're
I
seeing
enjoyed,
Elena
I-
learned the
I-
power of simps.
I enjoyed
Okay.
this village, that village, and the Simp story. I did not enjoy the Berlin Wall. That's my thoughts on it.
Wild.
I'm done. I'm done talking about it.
I enjoyed
She's
the bit at the end
literally-
of the
Oh.
This Village, That Village where she was drunk. I thought that was fucking hilarious.
Yep.
Her being drunk and just shooting grapes at people. Amazing time.
Starting a grape throwing history.
But that was literally it.
I look at it this way: next week might give me a very solid story, and that'll be a good ship to sail it with. You know.
All I'm saying is,
Or it'll be
these
dog
weeks are
shit,
going to be
and we'll
very
know it's
easy for the
gone.
podcast.
Oh, don't worry, because then we have to figure out what the fuck's gonna be top 3, and
that's fine. I already know.
Moving on. I know what 2 of them are, and we'll have to talk about that third one.
Does anybody else have anything else to say about the lovely Wandering Witch show?
She's following in her mother's footsteps and not making her own journey.
All right, Sean, let's talk about Taiso Samurai.
She's not following in her mother's. She's not following her mother's footprints. They ride on brooms. They don't leave footprints, Jackman. Duh.
She's following.
Stop. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
Air trails.
All right,
Speaking of feet.
I'm gonna bounce on
Yeah,
this one.
thanks for coming, Tom. We'll let you know what happens. We'll let you know if you have to suffer through another recap.
Would you like to verbalize your save or slay real quick for us before you head out?
I slayed Noblesse and Wandering Witch. So.
All right.
All right.
That's kind of what I expected.
So the results are in our hands.
All right, later,
Bye,
guys.
Have a good night, Tommy.
Tommy made no decisive decision on this week, as those are the 2 that are on the chopping block.
At least we're chopping them.
Sean,
Look, he made
please
decision.
tell us about.
Let's talk about Taiso
And
Samurai.
I would like to say it now. I want to talk first about this one
Sure.
because I have something to say. But let's
changing it
give us
up.
the recap.
This week's episode, Taiso Samurai, we see at the start of the episode that Rei is upset because Leo's still not back. It's been a couple of days. He's not here. Joe comes home, talks to Rei. He's got this competition he's got to go to, and she understands he has to practice, but it's also going to be during her birthday. And she's like, you know what, Dad? It's fine. Go. And it's very not fine, but she tells him it's fine. And Joe doesn't understand any subtext whatsoever. The man's head is as dense as a fucking wall, and he goes, yes, great, cool. We'll celebrate your birthday, I promise. And then we get to see Rei kind of go about and, be alone for a while. She's at school. Her friends are talking about the joint camp between China and Japan for the gymnasts. Kind of, that constant reminder of her, her dad's not here. But training camp starts. Joe's sitting there. They're running through everything, and his phone rings. And it's Rei calling him, and she just wants to know if he'll be home for dinner. And he's like, no, but so you don't have to worry about getting too much food. I'll be home late, gonna eat with Coach. And Rei's like, cool. I'll just fucking relax. And she goes and gets fucking KFC and chills in the house. And she puts on a movie, and it's something that it's Ghostbusters, basically, and, she thinks about her and Leo singing together, and she gets sad, and then she's like, you know what, I'm not gonna clean up today, and then she stubs her toe and knocks the chicken off the table, and has a terrible time, and exits the room, and then Big Bird chokes to death. Big Bird eats some chicken and starts choking, and every one of us celebrates, because it's the best thing that could happen this season.
Yes.
You know what's so funny about that?
And then Rei walks out, and she's very sad about it, and we watch as she takes Big Bird, shoves him in the basket of her bike, and runs the bike to the nearest veterinarian. And as she's sitting there, we get this backstory about how her mom died, and how she was sad, and how her grandma brings home this small little bird from South America. She names it Big Bird, and it's important to her. But it could die, and are we really gonna? How upset are we gonna? It's a 50-50 here.
It's a 50-50 at this point.
So Rei's upset. The veteran.
I'll put it this way: you feel bad for Rei. You do not feel bad the bird is dead.
The veterinarian's like, yeah, this is that thing that happens to birds when they eat bird meat, and they start to realize they're eating bird meat, and it breaks down their psyche. We'll see what happens. It could be okay. Who knows? And Rei goes back to the house. When this happened, she tried to call Joe. Joe had turned his phone off because he's in important business. Tried to call Grandma, but Grandma's at the bar fucking jamming out and can't hear her phone ring. We kind of cut away from Rei. We see Joe coming home. He walks in, and so does Leo. And Leo's back. He's here. Yay. But Rei's gone, and they can't seem to find her. So they fucking call everybody but the police and are like, hey, can we find her? And the bar group gets all the gangs and the gals together, and they go to find Rei. She's on a bridge, and once they find her, Grandma comes, and Grandma talks to her, and she's like, what's going on? And she's like, I am sad because I'm alone, and I just want to be strong like Mom. And Grandma's like, you do understand that your mom was not who you think she is. She was a professionally trained actress, and she always put on her best face in front of you. She was not as picture perfect as you think. She would yell at Joe. She would hit Joe. She would speak her mind about things that bother her, but she would at least always make it look nice for you. And Ray's like, she would do that, and it's like, yeah. And then Joe comes running across the bridge, and we get some sad music, and my heart hurts for a while. And they embrace, and Joe's happy to have Ray, and Ray's happy to have Joe. And we get this flashback of Ray getting a bike for her birthday a previous year, and she lets Joe know that she doesn't know how to ride a bike. And my heart breaks again. And Joe and Leo decide that they're gonna go teach her how to ride a bike, and she's a fucking master at it because balance runs in this family. And she fucking shoves Big Bird in the basket, and she goes, "You fucking ready for an ET reference?" and fucking shoots them up a hill together. And we, that's kind of the episode. And then we get our credits, and I love this ED. And then we get a scene of Leo looking to do what looks like ballet of some kind, or at least his form's very similar to that of ballet, with his hair down. And at this point, this is the only thing I'm going to throw to you, Dodge, afterwards. I just want to make this small amendment. Last week I said I thought he was the #1 Chinese gymnast. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think he is still a top gymnast, because in the photo, which we get to see again at the start of this episode, next to the top gymnast in China is a guy who looks very much like Leo. Like almost point for point like Leo. And he mentioned that he was away training, and it could just be he was away training. So we'll see where this show goes. This week was a Ray focused episode. Dash, tell me how it hurt you.
So I actually wanted to talk about something very interesting about the show. So watching this episode, something clicked for me that I'm like, I feel like I've been looking at the show the wrong way this whole time. I think that the show doesn't excel as a sports anime or focusing on Joe's career. I think this show excels with Rachel as the main character in the show. And I know it obviously is going to be about Joe in the end and probably about Leo coming forward, but like I think the best points of this show have been when you treat Ray as the focus, right? Talking about her struggles and frustrations. She's dealing with growing up in an environment with no mother, with a dad who's, a famous gymnast and isn't home as often, living with a grandmother and a pet, and that's it, right? Having no real friends at school, getting bullied, like having no real childhood and having to grow up faster than her peers, as well as without a real family at home, like, and coming to terms with this, right? Um, and the best part of this entire episode was that scene, like you mentioned, where like, and I almost cried at this. Like, it fucking hit me. I was like, when she went to her dad, and it's like, I was so happy when you bought me a bike, but you had a competition, and I never actually got the chance to ask you to show me how to ride it. Like, that was just fucking, that hit so fucking hard. And I think the best parts of the show are when it's centered around Ray and nothing else.
And
Like,
realize
this episode alone was like, okay, I get it. I get why this show is good now. It's because Rachel is the best character, like I've been saying, and I need to treat it like she's the main character.
And then you realize that she's never ridden the bike on screen. She always just fucking
I
walks
know
with it
that
everywhere.
And what's even worse is that you see her trying, like, thinking of the bike when she takes Big Bird to the fucking hospital, and she doesn't know how to ride it, so she has to run with the bike. And it's like, oh my fucking god.
You don't even put it together until afterwards, and you're just like, oh my god.
Big Bird actually could have died, and it would have been Joe's fault because she didn't learn how to ride the bike.
I think that would have been great. I would have praised him. But like, what are you guys' thoughts on the show? That was just my my hot take of like, okay, I get why people like this show now.
I think you might be disappointed in the long run.
I know I will be.
Because I don't know how much more you can do with Ray. I feel like this is the show taking a lot of its central family conflicts and solving that first to clear a line for Joe and Leo to do gymnastics for the end half of it. That's what I think, but I hope, that the things that happen with Ray are going to impact the rest of the cast enough that we're going to see it matter in the scope of the whole show, and that it isn't like, okay, this is done now, we can forget about it entirely. Like, I hope to see a little bit some more fun stuff with this cast now that they're are stronger connected together.
Yeah, I think that's why the show won't make the top cut of our season, but I think like that's also why it's deserved to stay around this long.
You say that, Dosh, but I think you're gonna have
Stop
to
talking.
choose between a couple of things, and I don't know what you're gonna like more between this or David Got.
Oh, I know what my top 3 is already. We're fine.
Oh boy.
Oh, but
So-
your top 3 may not be the podcast's top 3.
You're right, but I can simp very hard.
Pablo, what do you have to say?
I
Or
wanted to-
Michael? That's fine.
So
Go ahead,
this
Michael.
episode fucking hurt me. So yeah, I've already been a fan of the show this entire time. I adore our main trio of Leo, Joe, and Ray. I think they're all really good characters that work well together. I think Joe being the super dense dad who just doesn't know how to be a dad because he was always had a significant other to carry on the parenting. He's trying to learn how to be a parent. Is really fun to watch. I think watching Ray just be Ray is amazing. I think Leo's fucking hilarious anytime he does his dumb shit. Ninja Art Doge's is amazing and good. This episode I almost cried due to fucking Big Bird. How the fuck did this show do this to me? But a part of this
Tears of
episode
joy.
that hit me the hardest was when the grandma's on the bridge with Ray, and then you just hear Joe in the distance screaming Ray's name. I don't know what the fuck it was, but the way he said it, it just hit me. It fucking hurt. And then they also had the bike scene, which hit me just as hard.
Oh god, the bike scene.
This episode was so good. Holy shit. Yeah.
Dylan.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't like this show still.
I don't worry, I knew it was coming.
So now I hate other shows more, but this show, I don't know. I feel like Leo hard carries this entire show, and I personally didn't want 2 Rachel episodes in a row because I honestly feel like she's nothing but a hindrance to our main character.
Damn.
You stabbed me.
I'll say it. Like, I don't care.
Holy
Like,
shit.
first off, Big Bird's a clear hindrance. And if you actually look at it, like, all she does is tries to, she keeps telling him to, like, go do these competitions and go get better and stuff like that. But then it regresses on her personally. And then the main character realizes it and he's like, shit, I won't do it. And in some sense, if it wasn't purely out of innocence, it could be seen as a very toxic relationship. But
She's
His
the
daughter!
I
child.
don't care. I don't
She's a pretty
care.
mature child, though.
That's
Let's
true.
put it
That's
that
true.
way.
If you're gonna make a storyline
so
out of it,
pretty.
I'm not gonna look at it like she just came out of the womb.
She's
What?
9 years old.
I don't care
But
about her
she-
age.
However,
You're so
she goes to the grocery store literally by herself and buys
she's a very
whatever she
mature
needs for
character.
dinner. Yeah.
I
But-
think it's a way to look at it.
That being said, I lost my train of thought now. Great. I really think that Leo hard carries this show though, and I do want to know, like, this show. Once I find out why Leo is running from police Secret Service dudes, I will not care about the show anymore. That's the only thing that's holding me to this show because everything else is kind of just like, all right, cool, all right. Like I'll admit the bike thing was really good. That was good. The random street gangs being completely affiliated with both the grandma and Ayu
Yeah.
was random and kind of weird. But like, yeah, I'm not interested in Rachel's storyline at all. I'm interested in the gymnastics side of it because when we started out this show, it was I have a debilitating injury and I'm getting old. How is that going to affect my gymnastics career? I will try one more time, even though everyone is pretty much better than me.
Mhm.
I want to see that storyline as long as with this other dude who's really good at gymnastics, but has a different, like, Secret Service China background to it that we're not getting into yet. I want those. I don't want his sad child. I don't need that in this storyline. Go make a spin-off for that. Like, why is this 2 episodes now where
I have
our
good,
main plot line is not being progressed and we're just getting this side filler about how sad the child's life is?
I have good news for you, Dylan. It's hopefully going to do what
I
you're
think
saying.
it's gonna be.
I know,
over,
which is
yeah.
why I don't want it gone this week. But like to call
Yeah.
that like it would be so good if this was like its own thing. If the whole series was from the point of view of the child. But this is just so random. It's like, oh, the child's sad while he's training. Darn it, maybe he shouldn't train or something. All right, well then he's gonna suck ass and he's not gonna be able to do gymnastics. End of the fucking series.
I view it more as I understand where you're coming from. I view it more as this is a part of who Joe is. If he's part of his challenge of also picking back up at the age he is that his wife isn't alive this time when he's doing it. Like it is. All stakes and purposes, he probably should stop gymnastics and take care of his fucking daughter. So part of the problem you have to solve with Joe is he has to have all the other distractions gone before he can really be in the game. And at this point, we've finally gotten to the point where Ray's hopefully going to be acknowledging things more, and Leo's back to fill that void for a time. I imagine we're now gonna go back to gymnastics. I appreciated that it wasn't back to back, Ray. We did have the qualifier in between this, which I think was nice to split this up. I don't know if it would have been better to get rid of it all to get it all done at once, but I think this works story wise. I enjoy Taiso. I'm in love with this show. I have been. Just because this is the type of show that does the stuff I enjoy in this odd genre of a show that has like a character struggle of a show. I enjoy these. So for me, Taiso did everything right this week that it could have in this episode. The only thing that maybe could have been better was maybe Big Bird could have died and it would have been okay. I mean, I mean, it would have been very sad, but for her. But I mean, for us, I mean,
I do want to reiterate that like I definitely think Wandering Witch and Noblesse are worse shows, but to claim that this is like even near top 3 at this point is kind of absurd.
We don't have that many shows left.
Or I mean, Iukaku is also worse than this show.
So that leaves it, and I'm not saying this is how the podcast is gonna shape up, but I mean if we're expecting Noblesse and Wandering Witch to go, and we don't think Iwakaku's top 3 material, I mean that only leaves us with Akadama, Day I Became a God, Source, Jujutsu Kaisen, and this.
That's a fucking shitty 3rd place. Damn it.
So I mean sure you can say that, but I think right now, given how we feel about a lot of these shows, and the fact that we now have 6 opinions on this podcast, I think any one of these shows we say aren't top 3 material, or that like float top 3 for 1 or 2 of us in the show, have the possibility of dropping the ball really hard or picking it up so well that we think it's getting to be almost comparable to Akadama and Jujutsu Kaisen.
It's such a big fucking gap, though.
Yeah.
Anyways, I like this show. It was a little slow for me at the beginning of it. It's kind of getting better. I really enjoy the gymnastics. I agree with Pablo. I think that it should be a little more focused on the gymnastics, but I think we will be getting to that. That being said, I liked how it was dealt with Ray. I liked how the bully is now actually thinking about what he says to Ray. And then there's a little scene where they're at the pool and Ray's kind of sitting there by herself, and he's like just like thinking, which I think is kind of cool. It could be like boyfriend type deal. But anyways, I just liked how a problem was made and then it caused another problem, but the problems got resolved towards the end. Which I think brought. I mean, like Villain said, it's a broken family essentially, and just slowly trying to pick those pieces up back together with Joe being somewhat dense, but at the same time knowing some things, like taking Ray to the festival or the park year back ago, which was that for her birthday? Has it been a full year?
Shit, it might have been. It was either for her
Because
birthday or their anniversary. I don't remember.
I don't remember, but anyways, I like how his character he's trying to handle one, losing his wife, two, trying to figure out if he's able to continue with what he loves to do, but at the same time trying to maintain a family and a household at the same time, but not succeeding in that aspect. I think it'd be cool to see if Ray goes to China with them for the birthday, and somehow just like they just get a hotel and she's able to go to the gym area, watch Joe and all that. I think it'd be pretty cool to see that and experience that with her dad. Because essentially, I mean, her problems are dealt with for now. We should just see a lot more gymnastics. It'll be cool to see the training regimens and all that throughout this week-long training course, and then the final tournament, right, which is the qualifying for Olympics, I would assume, or actual Olympics.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. But yeah, I think it'll be cool to see. I'm not sure if it has another slow spell. I might not be too into it. And if the gymnastics fails, like even more so, then I'm like, oh, okay, you know, I'm like 65, percent okay with it right now. That's about it really for me.
I've submitted my votes, and I know Jackman has submitted his votes.
I have not submitted.
Oh, it's Dodge.
That's
I should have known from the name.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I don't think I have.
I was gonna just run through mine, or just submit it and then we just do the total.
You could do
unless
either.
That's what y'all want to do. Because
So
I'm pretty sure of not changing shit.
Like I said, I've submitted. I don't care if we run through it or if we.
I just submit mine for the sake of submitting it, just so I have it.
All right, yeah, I'll just submit it then.
Yeah.
So I can't be flippy floppy. Who wants to go first?
Everybody's in. We already know Tommy's stuff, so. Dylan, you want to go?
Okay. I slayed everything except Akudama, Sorcery, and Dad Became a God.
What is wrong with you?
Oh my God.
I want those shows gone. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Dylan only wants the top 2 and he wants to be there now. Dash.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I went down the line. Akudama, obviously save. Everything is saved for me except for Day Became a God and Noblesse, actually. I still hate Day Became a God. Get that shit out of here.
I only slayed one show, and that was Noblesse, I believe. They lied last second. I switched it. I was thinking of also slaying Iwakakaru and Wandering Witch, but I was like, I want Noblesse out more, so need to save those 2 to make sure Noblesse dies. Yeah.
I slayed everything. No, I'm joking. I slayed Noblesse and Wandering Wish.
I slayed Iwakakaru, Noblesse, and Wandering Witch.
Holy shit!
All slay Noblesse?
Is that first unanimous?
So if you would,
slay, I think.
If you would like to know, Akudama complete saves. Surprise. Dare Became a God 1 slay. Iwakakaru 3 slays. Jesus Christ, guys.
Holy shit!
Noblesse is all red, baby. That's 6 slays. Jutsu Kaisen all saves. Taiso 1 slay, and Wandering Witch 3 slays. Apparently we're gonna have an interesting time next week, depending on what Iwakakaru does too, cause
Tony Kama died for this.
I think the unfortunate thing is that I think Iwakakuru's next episode might be really good, so which might go next week.
Dylan says unfortunate.
Why do you say that's unfortunate, Dylan?
Because I slayed both of them. I clearly don't want to watch either of them.
Band with me, brothers.
No, save the witch.
Put the witch on a stake.
I have to see the episodes to decide what I slay. I don't have an agenda right now.
I hope to God she goes to a hotel and just sleeps in a hotel the entire episode. I hope that it's something
this is
so
a make or break
boring.
episode, I'll admit.
Yeah.
Like a rat takes her pendant and she just chases a rat around her like at a hotel.
I hope Iwakakaru and Wandering Witch absolutely pop off this week, and then Day Became a God is just all lolly god and just absolutely gets gutted. Oh my god, that's my hope for this week.
Including the ramen owner?
Nope, no ramen. No ramen.
Okay, no ramen owner, then fuck this show. Like, I'll get rid of it too.
lolly focused episode.
Oh my god.
What a world we live in. So this means next week we are looking at we have 6 shows left, boys, and they all come out Friday and Saturday, I believe.
I only have to talk about one show. Let's go.
Unfortunately,
Oh, boy.
podcast, you have to listen to me for a longer period of time still.
Hey,
Let's go. Wonder Witch's live. Let's go.
Sometimes you have good opinions.
This show dropped half a star, by the way, from this last episode. Just want to let you all
Which
know
show?
that. Wandering Witch.
Dude, it has the same rating as Noblesse.
It ain't good.
That's not good.
I know.
That's not good for either of those 2 shows. So we will be watching. Oh, this is out of date, I believe. Yeah, it very much is. Wow. We will be watching episode 7 of Akadama, episode 7 of Day I Became a God, episode 8 of Vivo Kakaru, episode 8 of Jujutsu Kaisen, episode 7 of Taiso, and episode 8 of Wandering Witch. I will post that and make sure that is up to date and correct. We will have Tommy back again, and he will get to continue to talk about Wandering Witch. Good for him.
He's not gonna be happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he
Alright.
might be happy that he doesn't have to that we don't have to talk about Noblesse. I mean, Dylan is. So let's give a final goodbye to Noblesse.
Farewell.
I don't feel
Fucking
bad at
pieces
all.
of
I don't feel bad.
shit.
I should have voted it last week. Tony Kawa didn't deserve this.
This would have been a very interesting week if Tony Kawa was still here.
No,
but,
it wouldn't have.
That show would have been gone.
I would have axed fucking Witch so fast.
Tony Kawa would have been gone.
I probably would have put Iwakaku on my chopping block, honestly.
I absolutely probably would have slayed Tony Kawa this week.
Thank
I hold
the Lord
that
that show is
opinion if it
already
was still
gone now.
here.
I could not watch that pervy shit anymore.
You're watching by the grace of the gods.
No, I'm not. I'm watching The Day I Became a God. Get it right. Like, God.
That show was gone for a couple weeks ago.
So
By the grace of the gods,
I'm
I might as well
tilted.
go to bed.
Wrap us up, Sean. Get me out of here.
thank you guys for coming out to join us. We will continue to hopefully have all 6 of us here next week. We are getting to. I mean, we've officially passed the halfway point of the season, and we are trimming that fat, baby. We are getting down.
Yep.
I'm not saying we know what top 4 is gonna look like, but we might know.
We know what top 2
We know what top 2 is gonna look like.
Well, it's okay. We don't vote off the third place show. It just gets to sit there. Honorary third place show this season. Oof. I would like to quick mention that Dylan, our opinions last season, up and up with the anime community. The highest rated original airing show from the fall season was in the summer. Yeah, the summer season was indeed Decadence.
Thank you.
I walked out with the highest rating. So
I enjoyed that show.
Yep, everything else that was above it was sequels, and God of High School had the largest point change in overall rating of a show in a while, especially of that season. And Dylan, this will be good for you to know. Ghibli is in the bottom 10 rated shows of all time on my anime list. So
I picked that show.
there's only one show rated under it that season, and that was Ninja Scrolls. Not Ninja Scrolls. Ninja Collection, I think, is what it was called. Apparently, that was even worse.
Wait, so Monster Girl Doctor did better?
Monster Girl Doctor was really close to God of High School in score, I believe.
People like their titty, baby.
I will let you know. Unfortunately, Dylan, Uzaki-chan was pretty high up there.
Of course,
that's because
people
everyone's
like their
pathetic,
titty bullies.
That's because everyone's a pathetic simp. You can't prove me wrong.
All right, cut the stream. Cut the stream. Get me out of here.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.